Era's Echo, the Odyssey of Noah, the Awakening and the Realization.
The air around Noah vibrated with an eerie energy as he examined the Chrono Shard, a gem pulsating with a soft blue glow.
Its edges were jagged like a piece of sky torn from a storm.
He'd found it nestled in the shadowy depths of the Direwood, a place few dared to tread. Noah was alone, his bow slung casually over his shoulder. The only sounds, the rustle of the leaves and his own breath. He turned the shard over in his hands, puzzled.
It didn't resemble any loot he'd encountered in his years of gameplay.
"Strange thing, aren't you? What secrets do you hold?" he murmured, intrigued by its mysterious allure. As if in response, the shard emitted a sudden, blinding flash. Noah felt a surge of energy course through his body, his surroundings blurring into streams of color.
He tried to shout, but his voice was lost in a vortex of whirling lights. When the world finally snapped back into focus, Noah found himself standing in the central plaza of Aeonis' capital, but it was not as he remembered.
The grand statues of the heroes of Eld were mere scaffolds of stone and mortar. The bustling market stalls were sparse and modest.
Even the sky seemed brighter, untouched by the battles that had scarred it in his time.
Disoriented, Noah reached for his bow, feeling for the familiar curve of the wood. A group of players nearby stopped to stare at him, their gear rudimentary compared to the advanced armor he was accustomed to seeing.
"Hey, you okay there? You look like you've seen a ghost," one of them called out, a young man with the basic garb of a novice warrior. Noah hesitated, then decided on a cautious approach. "Yeah, I'm fine."
"Just a bit lost, I guess."
"Has the game just launched?" The group exchanged puzzled looks.
"Launched? Man, it's been live for an hour."
"You sure you're alright?" Another, a fledgling mage, asked, eyeing Noah's sophisticated archer's gear with awe.
Realizing the shard had done something unthinkable, Noah nodded slowly, a plan forming in his mind. "Yeah, just a rough login, you know how it is." "Thanks."
He turned away, thoughts racing.
He needed to understand what had happened.
Was this truly the past or some alternate version of Aeonis he had known?
He decided to head to the Adventurers Guild. It was always the hub of activity and information.
As he walked, Noah tested a simple skill, Whispering Wind, a basic archery move that let an arrow fly silently.
He drew his bow, focusing on a nearby tree. The skill activated flawlessly, the arrow striking silently with a faint blue trail.
At least his skills were intact.
"Looks like some things never change," he muttered to himself, reassured by the bow's familiar weight and the skill's execution. But as he approached the guild, he realized that Aeonis might hold new challenges and mysteries, ones that could change him in this world forever.
He pushed open the guild doors, ready to gather information and perhaps allies. The adventure was just beginning, and Noah was determined to unravel the mystery of the Chrono Shard and find a way back to his own time, decide if he wanted to at all.
Noah stepped through the doors of the Adventurers Guild, his eyes scanning the large open hall filled with bustling new players and towering bulletin boards plastered with quests.
The air buzzed with excitement and the clamor of eager adventurers negotiating their first missions.
Everything was familiar yet unmistakably different, polished, more raw and vibrant.
He approached the central bulletin board, where a large map of Aeonis was pinned.
It was startlingly bare compared to the detailed charts he remembered.
Only a few key locations were marked: the starting city, a simple dungeon nearby, and an outline of a forest that was known to be teeming with low-level monsters. A guild officer, a woman with a stern face and a no-nonsense bun, noticed Noah's intrigued inspection of the map. "First time seeing a world map, huh?" she asked, her tone friendly, but her eyes sharp. "Yes, it seems. Bigger than I anticipated," Noah lied smoothly, deciding to keep his knowledge discreet.
"It's quite empty."
"That's because we adventurers have to chart it ourselves."
"Every hill, every dungeon, every beast to lair.
"It's all up to us," she explained proudly.
Noah nodded, impressed by the enthusiasm of the early-stage game world.
"I suppose that means there's plenty of work to be done."
"What's the most pressing quest available?" The officer pointed to a freshly pinned notice.
A group is heading out to clear the Greystone path.
It's overrun with goblins. You look capable. Why don't you join them? Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, Noah said, pulling the quest notice from the board.
Joining the group, Noah met 3 other players, a mage named Tira, a warrior called Bren, and a priestess, Elia. They were all novices, their gear simple and their spirits high. As they walked towards the Greystone path, Noah shared tips disguised as casual advice. Keep your eyes peeled for ambushes, he said.
Goblins aren't strong, but they're sneaky and quick. Thanks for the tip.
Bren said enthusiastically, gripping his sword with newfound determination.
At the path, the goblins appeared just as Noah had predicted.
He watched as Tira, Bren, and Elia clumsily engaged. Deciding to step in, Noah drew his bow, an elegant curved piece far superior to any weaponry in his group.
Using silent shot, he quickly dispatched 2 goblins that had flanked Tira.
Wow, that was incredible! Tira exclaimed, her eyes wide with admiration. How did you do that without any sound?
A little trick I picked up, Noah replied, keeping his explanations vague.
It's all about the bow grip and the draw. Impressed and inspired, the group fought with renewed vigor. With Noah's subtle guidance, they cleared the path efficiently, learning from his example. After the quest, as they returned to the city, Elia spoke up. You could really help us newbies out.
What do you say about forming a regular party?
Noah considered this. He needed to lay low and gather information, but staying close to a group of novices might also provide cover and allow him to influence the game's development discreetly.
Sure, that sounds like a good idea. Noah agreed, a plan slowly forming in his mind.
Let's meet tomorrow and discuss our next move. That night, Noah pondered his situation. He had to use his foreknowledge strategically.
The world of Aeonis was a blank slate, and every action he took could have unforeseen consequences.
Yet this was also an opportunity to reshape the game world in subtle ways, perhaps even to prevent some of the darker events he remembered from his previous life in Aeonis. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the city as Noah met with his new companions at the bustling central square.
Tira, Bren, and Elia were already there, chatting animatedly about their successful goblin hunt the day before.
They greeted Noah with enthusiastic waves as he approached.
Morning, Noah. Bren called out, clapping him on the back as he joined them.
Ready for another adventure?
Absolutely, Noah replied with a smile, though his mind was already racing ahead, plotting their course for the day. Elia, ever the organizer, pulled out a small hand-drawn map of the surrounding area. I thought we could explore the northern forest today, she suggested, pointing to a blank area on the map. No one from the guild seems to have charted it yet. We might discover something valuable. Noah nodded approvingly.
The northern forest was a place he knew well, but in his timeline it was a region fraught with hidden dangers. If they were truly the first to chart it, they could avoid some of the future threats. That sounds like a great idea, he agreed. But let's be careful.
Uncharted areas can be unpredictable.
As the group set out from the city, Noah took the lead, guiding them through the less traveled paths. His eyes scanned the environment alert for any signs of danger. He remembered hidden pitfalls and camouflaged nests from his past experiences. As they entered the dense forest, the light dimmed, filtered through thick canopies of ancient trees. The air was cool and damp, filled with the sounds of distant rustling and the occasional bird call. Noah raised his hand, signaling the group to stop.
Ahead, the faint markings of a trap, net hidden beneath a layer of leaves barely visible. Watch your step, he warned, pointing out the danger.
This looks like a hunter's trap, possibly for catching larger game. Tira knelt down, examining the trap with keen interest. Good eye, Noah. How do you spot these things? Just experience, he replied, helping her disarm the trap safely. Always keep an eye on the ground in unfamiliar territories. They continued deeper into the forest, with Noah occasionally using his keen sight skill to detect hidden paths or natural resources that could be valuable.
Each discovery was carefully marked on Elia's map, contributing to their growing knowledge of the area.
Midway through their exploration, a rustle in the underbrush caught their attention. Noah instinctively reached for his bow, stringing an arrow with practiced ease.
A moment later, a boar large and tusky burst from the foliage, charging directly at Bren.
Reacting swiftly, Noah let loose the arrow. It soared through the air with a guided flight, an advanced technique that improved accuracy, striking the boar squarely in the shoulder.
The animal stumbled, slowing enough for Bren to dodge out of the way.
"Wow, that was close."
Bren exclaimed, breathing heavily.
"Thanks, Noah."
"Don't mention it," Noah said, retrieving his arrow. "Let's use this opportunity to gather some materials from the boar.
It might come in handy for crafting." As they worked to skin the boar and collect its resources, Noah reflected on how much he enjoyed teaching and leading the group. It was a different kind of satisfaction compared to his solo adventures as a max-level archer. By the time they decided to head back, their map was dotted with numerous annotations, marking resources, dangers, and points of interest.
They returned to the city as the sun began to set, tired but exhilarated by their productive day.
Back at the guild, they displayed their findings on the public map, earning nods of approval and curious glances from other adventurers.
Ilya beamed at Noah. "Thanks to your guidance, we might just become the best explorers this guild has seen."
Noah chuckled, feeling a sense of pride swell in his chest.
"We're just getting started," he assured them, already planning their next journey in his mind. As they parted ways for the night, Noah felt more connected to this world than ever before.
His knowledge of the future was a gift and a responsibility, and he intended to use it wisely, guiding not only his friends, but perhaps the destiny of Aeonis itself.
Noah spent the early morning hours alone, wandering through the quieter streets of the city.
His mind was a whirl of thoughts and strategies, planning not just for the immediate future, but considering the implications of every action in this altered world.
He knew that small ripples now could become tidal waves later.
As he passed the city's sprawling marketplace, he noted the rudimentary stalls and the simple goods on offer. He could remember the grand bazaars filled with exotic wares that would one day stand in this very place. It gave him a sense of surreal anticipation and responsibility.
Returning to the guild, he found Tira, Bren, and Elia already gathered, buzzing with excitement about their next venture.
Today they planned to delve into the ruins of an ancient fortress, rumored to be on the northeastern edge of their newly charted map.
"Morning, everyone," Noah greeted, joining the group. "Ready for another day of discovery?"
"You bet," Bren responded with a grin.
"Today's the day we find something big."
"I can feel it." Noah smiled, but inwardly felt the weight of caution. The fortress was a place he knew well. It was fraught with dangers, some of which were not of the natural world. As they set off, Noah led them through the dense forest, their path gradually becoming rockier and the trees giving way to craggy hills. He used his Pathfinder skill to find the safest and most efficient route, a skill that subtly adjusted their course to avoid natural obstacles and hidden dangers.
"Hey Noah, how do you always know the best way to go?"
Tira asked, looking around at the seemingly impassable terrain that Noah navigated with ease.
"It's just about reading the environment," Noah explained, not wanting to delve into the true extent of his abilities just yet. "You start to notice patterns in the landscape after a while." After a trekking, they reached the outskirts of the ancient fortress. It loomed ominously, its stone walls covered in overgrowth, the air heavy with the scent of moss and decay. "This place gives me the creeps," Elia whispered, clutching her staff a little tighter. Noah nodded, his senses on high alert.
"Stay close and watch where you step."
"Places like this can be unpredictable."
They entered through a crumbling archway, their footsteps echoing off the stone. Inside, the fortress was a labyrinth of corridors and collapsed halls. Noah kept them moving with a careful pace, using his light step skill to ensure that his movements were silent and alert to any shifts in the environment.
As they rounded a corner into what appeared to be an old armory, Noah's sharp eyes caught a slight movement in the shadows. Holding up a hand to stop the group, he whispered, "We're not alone."
Before they could respond, a group of spectral figures emerged from the walls, their forms blurry and shifting, moans of ancient battles whispering from their lips. "Ghosts,"
Elia gasped.
"Stay calm," Noah instructed, drawing his bow. "They're bound to the fortress remnants of its past. We can handle this." He He focused, channeling his spectral arrow skill, which allowed him to harm spectral and undead enemies effectively.
Releasing a volley of glowing arrows, he watched as they found their marks, dissipating the ghosts into wisps of light.
The encounter left the group shaken but unharmed. "How did you do that?"
Brent asked, his voice a mix of awe and fear.
"Some enemies need more than just physical strength to defeat," Noah explained, keeping his tone even. "These arrows are designed for spirits." With the immediate threat gone, they continued to explore the fortress, uncovering ancient artifacts and inscriptions that spoke of the region's history.
Noah made sure to document their findings, knowing this information could be invaluable for future adventurers. As they made their way back to the city with their discoveries, Noah felt a mix of satisfaction and unease.
Today had been a close call, and while he was there to guide them, he knew he couldn't always protect them from the darker corners of Aeonis.
Back at the guild, they presented their findings, earning praise and curiosity from other adventurers. As the day wound down, Noah retreated to his quarters, his mind already on the next day's challenges. His journey through this new old world was just beginning, and he knew that every shadow could hold a secret worth uncovering or a danger worth avoiding.
The next day dawned clear and bright, with the hustle of Aeonis' city life beginning to stir. Noah decided to take a slightly different approach today, focusing on strengthening his bonds with the burgeoning community of players and further exploring the subtleties of the game's altered AI and environment.
As he walked through the guild's main hall, his gaze lingered on the diverse group of players gathered around. Some were poring over maps, others bartering for gear, and some rehearsing spells.
It was the perfect opportunity to observe and engage. Spotting a pair of players discussing the best approach to a nearby dungeon, Noah approached them, his steps silent, a technique honed by his silent approach skill which kept his presence unnoticeable until he chose to make it known. "Excuse me," Noah interjected smoothly as he neared. "I couldn't help overhearing."
"You're planning a trip to the Hollow Caves, right?"
The two players, a young woman with a staff that glimmered with nascent magic and a tall man armed with a shield and sword, turned towards him. Their expressions were a mix of surprise and curiosity.
"Yes, we are."
"Do you know something about it?" the woman asked, her eyes keen.
"I've read a bit about it," Noah replied cautiously, not wanting to reveal too much.
"It can be tricky, especially with the shifting corridors. If you like, I could offer some advice or even join you." The man seemed hesitant, sizing Noah up, but the woman's face lit up with interest.
"We'd appreciate any help you can offer, right, Joran?" she said, nudging her companion.
Joran nodded slowly, still assessing Noah.
"Sure, advice is always welcome."
"What's your name?"
"Noah," he replied, extending a hand, which Joran shook firmly. "I'm Mira, and this is Joran," the woman introduced. "We're relatively new to this, so your experience would definitely be an asset." As they discussed strategies for navigating the Hollow Caves, Noah noticed the subtle changes in the AI's behavior.
The NPCs around them seemed more interactive and responsive than he remembered. They reacted not just to player actions, but also appeared to engage in their own tasks more dynamically, a sophistication he hadn't observed in his original timeline. After agreeing to meet at the city gate in an hour, Noah spent the intervening time mingling with other players, picking up on small intriguing details.
The AI shopkeepers haggled more aggressively, and the quest givers offered quests that adapted more specifically to a player's past accomplishments.
Meeting Mira and Joran at the gate, they set off towards the Hollow Caves.
The journey there was filled with light-hearted banter, but Noah's mind was alert, always watching, always noting.
As they entered the cave, the cool, damp air enveloped them, and the dim, flickering light from their torches cast long shadows against the rough walls. Noah led the way. His heightened awareness skill subtly enhanced his senses, allowing him to detect traps and hidden creatures before they became a threat.
"Watch your step here," Noah warned as they came across a barely visible tripwire stretched across the path.
He carefully disarmed it, demonstrating the technique to Mira and Joran. Traps in this dungeon are usually reset by this system overnight. "How do you know all this?" Mira asked, her tone a mix of admiration and curiosity.
"A lot of reading and some previous experiences," Noah answered vaguely with a slight smile.
Their progress through the caves was slow but steady. Noah's guidance and skills proved invaluable, and both Mira and Joran grew increasingly impressed with his expertise.
However, it was not just the physical challenges that Noah was monitoring. He paid close attention to how the game itself reacted to their strategies. It seemed adaptive, almost learning from their techniques, which was both fascinating and a bit unnerving. As they reached the heart of the caves, where the most valuable treasures were said to be hidden, Noah felt a slight shift in the air, a change in the electronic wind of Aeonis that suggested something new was beginning to unfold.
Inside the dimly lit confines of the hollow caves, Noah, Mira, and Joran faced not just the physical challenges of navigating the treacherous paths, but also the evolving complexities of AI. As they delved deeper into the dungeon, the subtle changes in the game's environment became more pronounced, presenting new puzzles and challenges that Noah hadn't encountered in his previous experiences. As they approached a large cavern, the sound of dripping water echoed off the stone walls, and a faint glow illuminated the chamber ahead. Noah paused, signaling for quiet.
His whispered warning skill allowed him to communicate silently with Mira and Joran, informing them of the potential dangers without alerting nearby creatures.
"There might be sleeping drakes ahead," he whispered through the skill, his voice a soft murmur directly in their ears.
"They're attracted to noise."
Mira nodded, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. Joran gripped his sword tighter, his stance ready for any sudden movements. Creeping forward, they saw 3 drakes nestled against the far wall of the cavern, their scales shimmering slightly in the light from the luminescent fungi on the ceiling. Noah gestured for Mira and Joran to stay back while he prepared an enchanted arrow imbued with a sleeping potion.
Drawing his bow, he took careful aim and released.
The arrow sailed silently through the air, striking the nearest drake and causing it to slump deeper into sleep.
"Let's move while they're still down," Noah urged, leading the way through the cavern with cautious steps. As they passed the sleeping drakes, Noah felt a twinge of relief mixed with curiosity about how the game had adapted the creatures' behavior to be more responsive to their environment. Once safely on the other side, they found themselves in front of an ancient door covered in runes. The door was a new addition, something Noah had never seen before in his previous runs. It suggested that the AI was not only adapting but evolving new content dynamically. "This wasn't here the last time anyone from the guild came through," Mira said, referencing the notes she had taken from other adventurers. Noah studied the door, touching the runes lightly. "It seems we're meant to solve a puzzle to proceed." "Let's see." Using his runic knowledge skill, he deciphered the pattern, instructing Mira and Joran to press certain runes in a specific sequence. As they did, the door emitted a low hum and then slowly swung open, revealing a hidden chamber filled with treasures and artifacts. "Wow, Noah, how do you know all this?" Joran asked, his voice a mix of respect and wonder as they entered the chamber. "Just pieces of lore I've picked up along the way," Noah replied modestly, careful not to divulge the full extent of his knowledge from his previous life in Aeonis. As they explored the chamber, collecting various items that would be invaluable for crafting and trade, the bond between the trio strengthened. They shared stories of their lives outside the game, their hopes for their adventures in Aeonis, and their excitement at being part of something new and unknown. Noah felt a genuine affection for his new friends and a responsibility to guide them safely through the challenges of Aeonis. He knew that the relationships he was forming now would be crucial for what was to come, both for him and for the world of Aeonis itself. As they made their way back to the city with their newfound treasures, Noah was thoughtful. The game was changing, reacting not only to his actions, but to their collective strategies. It was as if Aeonis itself was alive, watching and learning from its players. Back at the guild, they recounted their adventure, their success, bringing them admiration and a bit of envy from their fellow adventurers. As they celebrated, Noah looked on with a smile, knowing that each step forward in this game was a step into uncharted territory, both for him and for Aeonis. The world was evolving, and so was he, in ways he couldn't have anticipated when he first fell through time. The next morning, as the first light of dawn painted the city in hues of orange and gold, Noah and his new companions gathered at the familiar meeting spot near the city gates. Today, they planned to revisit some of the locations. Noah knew well, but which were still underdeveloped in this version of Aeonis. Noah, where to today?
Bren asked eagerly, his armor clinking softly as he adjusted his sword belt.
We're going to the Silverpine Hills, Noah announced, checking the gear of his companions to ensure everything was secure. It's a place rich in resources and relatively safe if you know what to look out for. Plus, it has some excellent training grounds for you to practice new techniques.
As they set off, Noah led the group along a path he knew well, though now it was overgrown and less traveled.
The landscape was familiar yet strangely virgin, lacking the worn paths and signs of frequent travel he remembered.
It was like stepping into a memory, one still forming and changing. Upon reaching the Silverpine Hills, Noah paused, allowing the group to take in the sprawling vistas. The hills rolled gently under a canopy of towering silver pines, the air filled with the fresh scent of pine and earth.
This place is beautiful, Elia commented, her eyes wide as she scanned the area.
It's hard to believe it's not more popular. It will be, Noah replied cryptically, a smile tugging at his lips.
For now, let's focus on your training. There are some basic maneuvers and strategies I want to show you.
They found a clearing where Noah demonstrated several advanced techniques, starting with fluid movement, a skill that enhanced agility and speed, making it easier to dodge and weave during combat.
He moved with a grace that belied his robust frame, his feet barely touching the ground.
Watch closely, Noah instructed as he flowed from one position to another. It's all about anticipating your opponent's next move and being 2 steps ahead. Mira, Bren, and Elia practiced under his watchful eye, slowly mimicking his movements. Noah corrected their stances, showed them how to conserve energy during combat, and taught them how to use the environment to their advantage. As the sun climbed higher, Noah decided it was time for a more practical application. Let's put what you've learned to the test. There's a grove nearby where some low-level beasts roam. It's perfect for a little combat practice.
The group moved to the grove, a nervous excitement bubbling among them. Noah watched as they encountered their first opponent, a young buck with magnificent antlers. It was docile and less provoked, and Noah used it to teach the group about choosing when to engage and when to hold back. Not every creature needs to be fought, he explained. Learning to assess whether an encounter is worth the risk is as important as knowing how to fight. Noah's lessons were about more than just combat. They were about understanding the rhythm and balance of the world around them.
As the day progressed, they encountered various creatures, and with each encounter, his friends grew more confident and skilled. As they headed back to the city in the late afternoon, their conversation was lively, recounting each moment of the day's adventures and lessons.
That move you taught me saved me when that wild boar charged, Bren said, his chest swelling with pride.
And I didn't know use tree roots as a way to trip up an opponent, Mira added, her voice filled with wonder. Noah smiled, satisfied with their progress. Every day you'll learn something new.
That's the beauty of Aeonis.
After their successful day in the Silverpine Hills, Noah and his team decided to venture further into regions of Aeonis that Noah remembered vividly, but which were still largely unexplored in this timeline. Their next destination was the Mistvale Forest, known for its dense fog and the elusive creatures that dwelled within. It was a perfect place to test their growing skills and for Noah to impart more advanced lessons. The morning was cool and misty as they set out from the city. The forest was only a few hours' walk, but felt worlds away from the bustling streets and noisy marketplaces. As they entered the forest, the fog thickened, enveloping them in a cool, damp blanket that muffled sounds and obscured sight.
Stay close, Noah instructed, his voice low. Mistvale is tricky to navigate even in the best conditions. It's easy to get lost or walk into a trap. Using his enhanced perception skill, Noah heightened his senses, allowing him to detect the subtle sounds of movement and the faintest traces of paths through the forest.
He led the group through the twisting trails, occasionally stopping to point out signs of wildlife or to gather rare herbs. As they ventured deeper, Noah decided it was time to introduce a more complex skill, echolocation, which would allow them to use sound to navigate and detect obstacles or creatures hidden by the mist. He demonstrated first, tapping his staff gently against a tree. The sound produced a series of echoes, which he interpreted for them.
The echoes can tell you about the terrain and any changes in the environment. It's subtle, but with practice you can use it to Z with your ears, Noah explained.
Mira, Bren, Elia each tried the technique, struggling at first with the concept, but gradually beginning to understand how to use the echoes to navigate.
Noah encouraged their efforts, providing gentle corrections and sharing tips on how to differentiate the sounds.
As they practiced, a slight rustling alerted Noah to the presence of a creature nearby. Signaling for silence, he motioned for the group to ready themselves. A shadowy figure loomed through the mist, Gray Stalker, a medium-sized predator known for its cunning and agility. "Remember, use everything you've learned," Noah whispered, watching as the creature cautiously circled them.
Balance awareness and precision.
The Gray Stalker lunged suddenly, and the group sprang into action.
Bren stepped forward, shield raised, absorbing the initial impact.
Mira cast a binding spell, slowing the creature, while Elia used a light burst to disorient it. Noah watched with pride as they executed the techniques flawlessly, working together as a cohesive unit. He only intervened when necessary, guiding with quick shouts of advice.
After a tense few minutes, they subdued the creature, leaving it dazed but unharmed.
Breathing heavily, the group gathered around Noah, their faces flushed with adrenaline and triumph. "That was amazing!" Bren exclaimed, his earlier hesitation replaced by exhilaration.
"I can't believe we did that."
"You're learning fast," Noah praised them, clapping Bren on the shoulder.
"You're becoming true adventurers." The rest of the day passed in a blur of exploration and minor encounters, each one serving as a lesson in survival and strategy.
By the time they decided to head back, the fog had begun to lift, revealing the lush greenery and the paths they had traversed. As they walked back to the city, their conversation turned to the future, plans for more explorations, dreams of discovering unknown lands, and the excitement of mastering new skills. Noah listened, his heart light. Today had been a good day.
Not only had he helped his friends grow, but he had also reconnected with parts of Aeonis that he had forgotten.
The tales of Noah and his companions' exploits in the Mistvale forest and beyond had begun to ripple through the bustling streets and crowded inns of Aeonis.
As they continued to explore and map uncharted territories, Noah's reputation as a player with exceptional skills and uncanny knowledge of the game's world grew.
His insights into enemy behavior, hidden paths, and forgotten lore did not go unnoticed.
The stories shared by Mira, Bren, and Elia at the Guild had inadvertently painted him as something of a prophetic figure.
One evening, as the group sat at a popular tavern, celebrating another successful expedition, they couldn't help but overhear the murmured conversations at the tables around them. "They say he knew exactly where to find the lost temple of Alaric, even though it wasn't on any map," one adventurer whispered to another, casting a glance towards Noah's table.
"And I heard he predicted the great storm over Eastvale 2 days before it hit. They avoided a disaster because of him," another added his voice, a mix of skepticism and awe.
Noah, catching snippets of the conversations, felt a mixture of pride and unease. He leaned back in his chair, sipping his drink quietly. "Seems like our adventures are becoming the stuff of legends," he remarked dryly to his friends. Mira laughed, clinking her mug against his.
"That's because they are.
You've led us to places and victories no one thought possible. It's only natural people are talking." Bren nodded in agreement but furrowed his brow. "It's all good now, but what if it brings us the wrong kind of attention?"
Not everyone might be happy about your foresight."
Elia, always the peacemaker, smiled gently.
"Let them talk. We know the truth. We're exploring and learning together."
Noah just happens to have a good instinct for these things.
Despite the reassuring words, Noah knew that Bren's concerns were valid.
The more he was seen as someone with mysterious knowledge, the more likely he was to attract curiosity, envy, or even hostility. He decided to address the growing rumors directly. "Listen, everyone," Noah began, capturing the attention of his friends.
"It's important to remember that, while we've had a lot of success, it's been a team effort.
We've worked together, learned from each other, and adapted to challenges.
My knowledge," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "comes from a lot of previous experience and study. I've made plenty of mistakes to learn from." His friends nodded, understanding the delicate balance he was trying to maintain.
As the night wore on, Noah continued to ponder the implications of his unintended reputation. He realized that he would need to be more cautious about how much he revealed and how it might impact not just him, but his friends as well. The following days saw Noah making a conscious effort to step back during expeditions, encouraging Mira, Bren, and Elia to lead more, making decisions based on their growing experience rather than his guidance. He hoped this would mitigate some of the rumors and demonstrate that their group's achievements were a collective effort. However, Noah's attempts to downplay his role had mixed results.
His very attempts at redirection sometimes led to further speculation about his character and motives.
A mysterious stranger who seemed to know too much and yet sought no leadership or glory was an enigma that many found hard to ignore.
As the tales grew, so did the number of adventurers eager to join Noah and his team, hoping to learn from him or discover his secrets.
Noah welcomed the new members with a guarded warmth, aware that each addition to their group brought new dynamics and potential risks. Among these new followers was a keen-eyed scout named Lyra, who seemed more perceptive about Noah's true nature than most. Her quiet observations and probing questions often left Noah feeling both impressed and slightly wary. "You're not like other players, are you?" Lyra asked him one day as they scouted a new path through the verdant wilds. Noah smiled wryly, meeting her gaze.
"What makes you say that? There's a depth to your actions, a calculation behind your decisions. It's like you're playing a different game," she replied, her tone respectful yet inquisitive. Noah considered for a moment. "Maybe I'm just a very careful player," he suggested, but Lyra's knowing smile told him she saw through his deflections.
As the tales of Noah's uncanny knowledge and strategic foresight continued to spread throughout Aeonis, the mixture of admiration and skepticism among the adventurers grew palpably.
The guild halls and taverns buzzed with debates about the source of his wisdom, and while many were content to chalk it up to good luck or simple experience, others whispered darker theories of secret alliances or forbidden knowledge.
One evening, as the air grew crisp with the onset of night, Noah and his group found themselves at the center of one such heated discussion at the local tavern.
The place was packed with adventurers. Some new faces, eager to catch a glimpse of the legendary Noah, and others, old skeptics looking to challenge his rising influence.
A burly warrior, emboldened by the crowd's attention, stepped up to Noah, tankard in hand.
"So, you're the man who's been outsmarting the game itself, eh?"
"How's it? You always seem to know just where to go and what to find." Noah, sensing the underlying challenge, replied calmly, "Observation and preparation. The game rewards those who pay attention." The warrior scoffed, "Come off it. We all play the same game. What makes you so special?"
"Some say you've got cheats, others think you've got devs feeding you info. What's the truth?"
The room quieted, waiting for his response. Noah looked around at the expectant faces, each reflecting a mix of curiosity and doubt.
"I assure you there's no mystery to it," Noah began, his voice steady. "Like any of you, I make use of the skills I have learned and the experiences I've gone through. Success in Aeonis comes from learning from your failures, and believe me, I've had my share of those." His answer seemed to satisfy some, but others remained dubious.
Noah knew words alone might not be enough to dispel the growing legends around him. He decided it might be useful to demonstrate his method to show rather than tell.
"If you're willing, why not join me and my team on our next expedition?" Noah offered, turning the challenge into an opportunity.
"See for yourselves how we operate." The crowd murmured in approval, and even the warrior nodded, intrigued by the prospect.
The next morning, under the watchful eyes of a small crowd of adventurers, Noah led a mixed group, including some of his skeptics, on a planned expedition to the ruins of Thornwall. The ancient site was rumored to be cursed, deterring many from exploring its depths. Noah, however, knew of the potential treasures and secrets hidden within, having pieced together information from old scrolls and tomes in his previous life. As they approached the crumbling stone walls shrouded in overgrown ivy, Noah paused, letting the others catch up. He turned to address the group, pointing to markings barely visible on the stones. "These symbols tell a story," he explained, tracing the lines with his finger. They speak of a hidden chamber and the trials to reach it. I've studied similar ruins to learn their patterns.
The group watched, fascinated, as Noah deciphered the clues, leading them through a series of hidden mechanisms that opened up a passage obscured by vines. Inside the passage, they encountered a series of traps. Noah calmly instructed the group on how to navigate through them, utilizing his trap awareness skill to detect and disarm the dangers with precision. Each successful maneuver, each trap disarmed, seemed to soften the skepticism of the watching adventurers. They began to understand that Noah's knowledge came not from some unfair advantage, but from a deep understanding and meticulous study of the game's mechanics and lore. By the time they reached the hidden chamber, revealing its long-lost treasures, the mood had shifted from suspicion to respect.
As they made their way back to the city, the former skeptic, now carrying a part of their shared loot, clapped Noah on the back. "You've got a gift, mate."
Thanks for letting us see it for ourselves. The crisp morning air was filled with a sense of anticipation as Noah and his ever-growing group of followers gathered at the edge of the city, preparing for their next expedition.
The day's objective was to explore the Whispering Caves, a location Noah knew well from his past experiences in Aeonis. However, this time he anticipated changes, knowing that the game's evolving nature might present new challenges. "Noah, you mentioned you've been to these caves before," Mira asked, adjusting her pack as she looked over at him with curiosity. "Yes, a few times," Noah replied, scanning the horizon. Each visit was different.
The caves are known for their shifting paths. It's as if the caves themselves are alive, constantly rewriting their own labyrinth.
Bran, always eager for action, chimed in, "Sounds thrilling."
What are we expecting to find? In the past, it was mostly minor treasures and a lot of lore about the ancient Elveran civilization, Noah answered, his eyes clouded with thought.
"But this time, I'm not entirely sure what awaits us. Stay sharp."
As they entered the dimly lit entrance of the Whispering Caves, the sound of their footsteps echoed off the cold stone walls, creating an eerie chorus with the soft, almost imperceptible whispers that gave the caves their name. Noah led the group with a calm assurance, but his senses were heightened, aware that the familiar could become unfamiliar in moments. Deep within the caves, they came upon the first major deviation from Noah's memory. A cavern that once held a simple puzzle-locking mechanism now presented a complex series of riddles inscribed on the walls, each glowing faintly with magical runes. Noah approached the riddles, his brow furrowed in concentration. "This is new," he murmured, tracing the glowing runes with his fingertips. The puzzles seemed to be tied to the lore of the Elveran. Each answer might reveal a part of their history. The group gathered around, drawn into the challenge. Noah decided to make this a learning opportunity for everyone. "Let's try to solve these together."
Think of it as a way to delve deeper into the world's history and sharpen our problem-solving skills. They spent the next hour debating and deciphering the riddles, with Noah guiding them subtly, encouraging them to think critically and draw on their own knowledge.
Each solved riddle brought them closer not only to unlocking the next chamber, but also to understanding the mysterious Elveran civilization that had once thrived in these lands. When the final riddle was solved, the stone door slid open with a rumble, revealing a chamber that was drastically different from what Noah remembered. Instead of the modest treasure he expected, the room was filled with rare artifacts and detailed murals depicting the Elveran's fall from grace.
The group entered in awe, their torches casting shadows that danced across the ancient walls. "This is incredible," Elia whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "It's like we're the first to witness these in centuries."
Noah nodded, equally impressed. "It seems the game has more to teach us than I thought." Every exploration is a chance to uncover new secrets. As they collected the artifacts, Noah's mind raced. The changing nature of these quests was both exhilarating and unnerving.
It meant that his past knowledge of Aeonis was becoming less reliable, and the game was evolving in ways he couldn't predict. The return journey was quiet, each member of the group lost in thought, reflecting on the day's discoveries. Back at the city, their arrival was met with curiosity and admiration from other adventurers.
Word of their discovery spread quickly, and Noah found himself once again at the center of attention, His reputation as a knowledgeable leader solidified further.
Yet he couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that came with the changing world of Aeonis.
What did these alterations mean for the future?
How would they affect his journey and the destinies of those around him?
After the revelations in the Whispering Caves, Noah was increasingly cautious. The next quest on their list was a visit to the Sunken Gardens, an area known for its beautiful but deadly flora. In Noah's previous experiences, the gardens held a relatively straightforward quest involving the collection of rare herbs for a potion to aid in night vision. But as recent events had shown, what once was could no longer be wholly relied upon. As the team gathered to set out at dawn, Lyra approached Noah with a concerned expression.
Noah, you've been quiet since we left the caves yesterday.
What's on your mind? Noah looked at her, appreciating her perceptiveness. I'm just thinking about how much things have changed.
The Sunken Gardens were always straightforward, but now I'm not so sure what we'll find. Lyra nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon.
Change seems to be the only constant here.
But whatever we find, we'll handle it.
We always do.
As they reached the outskirts of the Sunken Gardens, the lush greenery was immediately noticeable, with vibrant flowers and towering trees enveloping them in a rich tapestry of color and scent.
However, Noah's trained eye noticed something new, series of delicate, almost invisible threads crisscrossing between the trees. Stop, he commanded softly, raising his hand.
His team halted, looking around in confusion.
There are new protections here. These threads, can you see them? They are part of a defense mechanism. We need to be very careful how we move forward. Using his enhanced vision skill, Noah traced the threads, leading the group through the maze of traps with precise instructions.
Step where I step, he directed, follow exactly.
They navigated through the first layer of defenses without incident, reaching the heart of the gardens. Here, the quest had changed significantly. Instead of collecting herbs, they found themselves faced with a giant slumbering creature nestled among the rare flowers, its breath causing the plants to sway gently. This wasn't part of the original quest, Noah murmured, examining the creature from a safe distance.
This is a guardian beast from the old legends.
It must be protecting something.
Mira, who was always eager to dive into action, looked eager.
What do we do, Noah? Is there a way to get around it?
We may need to wake it, Noah said after a moment's hesitation. But we'll do it intelligently. This beast is part of the ecosystem here. Harming it isn't an option.
He outlined a plan to gently rouse the guardian beast, using a concoction of scents from the surrounding flowers, known to attract but not aggravate the local fauna. As they prepared the mixture, Noah used his nature's ally skill to ensure their concoction was perfectly balanced. With the potion ready, Noah approached the beast, scattering the concoction around it carefully.
The creature stirred, its massive eyes opening slowly. It looked at Noah and the team, sniffing the air curiously but without aggression.
Retrieve the herbs now, Noah instructed softly, keeping his eyes on the guardian beast. The team moved quickly, collecting the needed ingredients from around the slumbering giant. As they completed their task, the beast simply watched, then settled back down, seemingly content to return to its rest. The team left the Sunken Gardens with a new sense of awe and a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of Aeonis' ecosystems. The quest was not only different in its execution, but in its outcome. Instead of a simple potion, they gained an ally in the guardian beast, an experience that would surely prove beneficial in future endeavors. Back at the city, their tale of meeting and pacifying the guardian beast spread like wildfire, adding another layer to the growing legend of Noah.
His leadership and respect for the world of Aeonis earned him not just followers, but genuine respect.
However, with every change in the quests and every unexpected challenge, Noah's certainty about his knowledge of Aeonis waned.
Each successful quest brought relief, but also a growing realization that the game was evolving beyond his past experiences, challenging him to adapt and learn anew.
Following their encounter with the guardian beast in the Sunken Gardens, Noah and his team faced a landscape of ever-shifting challenges that stretched his understanding of Aeonis. The world he thought he knew continued to evolve in unexpected ways, prompting Noah to reassess each step and strategy. Their next quest brought them to the Cliffs of Echoes, a place known for its haunting beauty and treacherous winds. As the group approached the cliffside, the wind howled around them, a mournful sound that seemed to carry voices from the past. In Noah's previous experiences, the Cliffs of Echoes had been the site of a straightforward search for the echo crystals, rare minerals known for their ability to store sound. But given the recent unpredictabilities, Noah was on high alert for any deviations.
"This place, it's different somehow," Elia remarked, pulling her cloak tighter around her shoulders as they climbed the narrow path up the cliffs. Noah nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. "The wind is stronger than I remember. Keep your voices down and stay close."
The cliffs have many secrets, and not all are meant to be unearthed. Using his wind whisper skill, Noah attempted to listen to the currents, discerning patterns or messages that might hint at changes to the quest.
The skill, often used to navigate or communicate in adverse conditions, now served a dual purpose as he sought clues within the wind's mournful song. "There's something up ahead," Noah finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "A cave that wasn't here before. The wind seems to be drawing us there."
The team followed him, their steps cautious as they entered the cave.
Inside, the howling of the wind softened, replaced by a series of echoes that seemed almost like whispers.
The walls of the cave were lined with luminescent moss, casting a pale green light that gave the space an otherworldly glow.
"I don't like this," Bren muttered, his hand on his sword hilt.
"It feels like the cave is alive."
"It might well be," Noah agreed.
These whispers could be the cave's way of communicating. Let's try to understand what it's telling us. Noah concentrated, using his echo reader skill to interpret the sounds bouncing off the cave walls.
The whispers coalesced into a clearer message, a plea for help that seemed to emanate from deeper within the cave.
"It's a trapped spirit," Noah concluded, his expression somber. "An ancient guardian of the cliffs, bound here by old magic. The original quest might have disturbed its bindings inadvertently. We need to free it." The task was daunting, but Noah guided his team through the process, combining their skills to unravel the complex magical bindings that held the spirit. Mira used her knowledge of arcane symbols to deactivate the runes, while Elia channeled her healing magic to soothe the spirit's ancient wounds. As the final binding was released, the spirit materialized before them, a swirling mass of wind and light. "Thank you," it whispered, its voice echoing through the cave.
"For centuries I was bound to guard, but now I am free to ascend."
As the spirit disappeared, the wind in the cave stilled and a sense of peace settled over the area. In place of the echo crystals, they found the spirit's amulet, an artifact imbued with the power to control winds, reward far more powerful and rare than what the original quest offered.
Leaving the cave, the team felt a mixture of awe and relief.
They had altered the fabric of Aeonis' narrative, freeing a part of its history that had been forgotten and bound. As they descended the cliffs, Noah pondered the implications of their actions. Each quest not only brought unexpected challenges, but also opportunities to right ancient wrongs and uncover deeper layers of the world's story. His role was no longer just a guide, but a restorer of Aeonis' hidden legacies. Back at the city, their tale of freeing the spirit spread rapidly, further cementing Noah's reputation as a leader with a deep connection to the world. Yet for Noah, each accolade was a reminder of the responsibilities he bore, not just to lead, but to preserve and respect the mysteries of Aeonis, ensuring they were remembered and revered, not merely conquered. After their ventures into the Cliffs of Echoes, Noah and his team returned to the city with a renewed sense of purpose and curiosity.
The world of Aeonis was alive, teeming with secrets and ancient magics that were not just remnants of the past, but active elements shaping the present. As Noah reflected on their recent adventures, he realized how much the path ahead was likely to deviate from anything he had previously known.
Their next quest arose unexpectedly when Noah received a message from an NPC named Maris, whom he remembered as a minor character from his earlier gameplay, a simple vendor in the marketplace who sold herbs and potions.
However, the message hinted at something more. Maris requested Noah's help with the mysterious ailment affecting the forest near her home, something beyond her skill as a herbalist to mend. As they approached Maris's stall in the bustling market, Noah prepared himself for anything. Maris's role seems to have expanded, he told his team.
Keep an open mind. We may find that she has more to offer than we previously thought.
Maris greeted them with a warm, albeit worried smile. Noah, I'm so grateful you came. The forest it's dying, and I don't know why.
Nothing in my knowledge as a herbalist has been able to uncover the cause.
Then I suspect it's more than natural disease. What makes you think that?
Noah asked, observing her carefully.
There are whispers in the wind and shadows that move against the grain. I think whatever afflicts the forest is magical in nature, Maris explained, her eyes reflecting her deep concern for the wood she loved. Noah nodded thoughtfully. We will investigate, Maris.
Lead us to where you've seen these anomalies. As they followed Maris to the edge of the forest, Noah activated his natural insight skill, which heightened his senses to the natural world, allowing him to perceive disturbances in the ecological balance. The forest's edge was eerily silent, with a noticeable lack of wildlife and a sickly pallor to the leaves. Using his detect magic skill, Noah scanned the area, revealing traces of a dark, lingering magic that seemed to seep into the very soil.
This is not a natural disease, he confirmed, his expression turning grave.
It's a blight caused by dark magic.
Maris's face fell. Is there anything we can do?
We need to find the source, Noah replied.
It's likely there's something, or someone casting this blight.
The team ventured deeper into the forest, guided by Noah's skills and Maris's local knowledge. As they moved, the blight's effects grew worse, with blackened plants and corrupted wildlife that watched them warily from the shadows. Finally, they came upon a clearing where the air felt thick and heavy. At its center stood an ancient stone altar corrupted by dark energy. Around it, the shadows seemed to swirl and pulse with a life of their own.
This altar is the source, Noah concluded, observing the dark energy swirling around it. We need to cleanse it.
He instructed the team on a complex ritual to dispel the dark magic, using a combination of Maris's herbal knowledge and their own magical resources. As they performed the ritual, the air around the altar began to shimmer, and the oppressive weight in the air slowly lifted.
Suddenly, from the shadows, a figure emerged, spirit bound to the altar, its form hazy and indistinct. Thank you, it whispered, its voice echoing around the clearing. I was used to spread the blight, trapped here by dark forces. You have freed me. Before they could respond, the spirit vanished, leaving behind a small glowing orb.
Maris approached it cautiously, then looked back at Noah and the team with awe. This is a spirit seed, she said.
A powerful artifact of growth. It can restore the forest.
Noah nodded, handing the artifact to Maris. Use it wisely, he advised. And watch over this place. As they made their way back to the city, Noah reflected on how their actions had once again altered the course of events in Aeonis.
Maris, once a simple NPC, had become a guardian of the forest, and they had turned an enemy into an ally, deepening their connection with the world and its hidden forces.
Back at the marketplace, Maris thanked them profusely. I will dedicate my life to protecting the forest, she promised.
You have not just saved a place, but all the lives that depend on it.
In the days following their successful restoration of the forest, the tale of their encounter with the dark magic at the altar and the freeing of the spirit spread quickly among the adventurers of Aeonis.
Maris's transformation from a simple herbalist to the guardian of a rejuvenated forest became a beacon of hope and a testament to the evolving nature of their world.
It underscored a vital lesson for Noah and his team. Every action they took could have far-reaching effects on the game's narrative and its characters.
Energized by these developments, Noah planned their next quest with a new perspective.
This time they were to investigate the ruins of Sarnath, an area known for its ancient curses and the powerful relics said to be buried there. Previously, Noah had navigated the ruins without significant consequence, but given recent experiences, he approached the quest with a heightened sense of caution and curiosity. Before departing, Noah gathered his team for a briefing.
The ruins of Sarnath are not to be taken lightly, he explained, spreading out an old worn map on the table.
Last time it was a straightforward search for relics.
This time I suspect we might find more, or less, depending on what's changed. Lyra, who had grown increasingly perceptive of the deeper currents flowing through their quests, nodded thoughtfully. Do you think we'll encounter more spirits or something else?
It's possible, Noah replied. The ruins have always been a place of power.
Be prepared for anything. As they entered the ruins under the light of the crescent moon, the eerie silence was palpable.
The ancient stones whispered of ages past, and shadows seemed to flicker at the corners of their eyes. Using his light of truth skill, Noah illuminated the deeper shadows, revealing the paths not taken by ordinary eyes.
The ruins, twisted and broken, sprawled before them like the bones of some long-dead giant.
As they delved deeper, Noah felt the subtle shift in the air, coolness that brushed the back of his neck with intangible fingers.
This place is different, Mira murmured, her voice a whisper in the dark.
It feels like we're being watched.
Noah paused, sensing it too.
Stay close.
The ruins are likely testing us.
They came upon a chamber, its walls inscribed with runes that glowed with a faint, ominous light. Unlike his previous visit, where the chamber held a simple chest of artifacts, now it cradled a large crystal sarcophagus that pulsed with a dark energy.
This wasn't here before, Noah said, examining the sarcophagus from a safe distance. These runes, they're not just protective.
They're binding. Using his runic decipher skill, Noah translated the inscriptions. It says, "Here lies Theros, the cursed king, bound for eternity."
It seems we found a king's tomb, not just ruins.
The revelation hung heavy in the air, and they debated whether to open the sarcophagus. The potential for powerful relics was tempting, but the risk of unleashing an ancient curse gave them pause. It's a risk, Noah finally decided.
But if we can understand and perhaps even break the curse responsibly, we might help Theros find peace. This could be part of why things have changed. Maybe Aeonis is giving us a chance to correct the wrongs of the past.
With careful preparation, they opened the sarcophagus. Inside, the remains of Theros were remarkably preserved, adorned with regal but ominous armor. As soon as the lid was lifted, a dark mist seeped out, coalescing into the form of Theros himself, his spirit appearing tormented and wrathful.
Who dares disturb my slumber? The spirit boomed, its voice echoing off the stone walls.
Noah stepped forward, his voice calm and clear. We mean you no harm, Theros.
We seek to understand your curse and free you from it.
The spirit of Theros regarded Noah and his team with suspicion, that perhaps sensing their genuine intent, his demeanor softened. Many have come to plunder, few to help. What makes you different?
We believe in making things right, Noah replied. Your rest has been long disturbed by greed and fear.
We offer respect and aid. Moved by their sincerity, Theros agreed to share the story of his curse and the relics within his tomb. With his guidance, they performed a ritual to cleanse the curse, using the relics to seal the dark magic away safely. As the curse lifted, Theros' spirit was finally freed, his form fading with a grateful nod. In return, he left behind his royal seal, a powerful artifact that promised protection to those who wielded it with honor. As they exited the ruins, the first light of dawn touched the horizon. Noah felt the weight of their accomplishment. Their journey was not just one of discovery, but of restoration and respect for the lands and spirits of Aeonis. With the successful resolution of the curse at the ruins of Sarnath, Noah's group felt a deepened sense of purpose.
The impact of their actions was becoming clear. They weren't just adventurers. They were healers of the world's deep-seated wounds.
Encouraged by their recent success, they turned their attention to the lost library of Salantha, a place rumored to house ancient wisdom but also known for its many guardians and traps. As they prepared for their journey, Noah briefed his team on the history of Salantha. The library was once a center of knowledge for ancient ages, but it was lost in an earthquake centuries ago.
It's said that those who seek out the library are tested, not just by physical challenges, but by moral ones as well. Lyra, intrigued by the aspect of moral testing, asked, What kind of moral tests are we talking about, Noah? From what I remember, the library assesses the intentions of those who enter. It reveals truths about ourselves we might not be ready to face, Noah explained. We must be prepared to confront whatever hidden parts of ourselves the library brings to light.
Equipped with this understanding, the group set out for the library's last known location, hidden deep within the Forest of Whispers. As they neared the forest, Noah used his Pathfinder skill to safely guide them through the dense underbrush and overgrown paths that had reclaimed much of the area. Upon reaching the library, they were greeted not by ruins, but by a seemingly intact building, shrouded in mist and protected by a barrier of energy. Noah approached the barrier, his hand hovering over the shimmering surface. Using his energy manipulation skill, he carefully probed the barrier, searching for a way to dissolve it without triggering any protective spells that might be in place. "It's a complex enchantment," Noah murmured, his brow furrowed in concentration. "But it's not just protective, just evaluative.
It's assessing us as we speak."
Mira, always ready for a challenge, stepped forward. "So how do we convince it we're worthy?" "We must each face a personal trial," Noah answered, turning to look at each of his companions. "Prepare yourselves mentally. Think about what you seek from the knowledge in this library. Honest about your motivations." One by one, they approached the barrier. As each member touched the shimmering surface, they disappeared, seemingly absorbed by the light. Noah watched as his friends faced their trials, waiting patiently for his turn. When Noah placed his hand on the barrier, he was enveloped by a bright light and found himself standing in a vast hall filled with books, scrolls, and artifacts.
An apparition of an ancient mage appeared before him, its voice echoing through the chamber.
"Noah, why do you seek the knowledge contained here?" Noah responded with sincerity, "I seek to understand this world better, to protect and restore it. My intentions are to heal the wounds of Aeonis, not exploit them."
The apparition studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly.
"Your heart is true. But knowledge is a powerful tool, Noah. It can heal or harm depending on how it's used.
Remember this." With that, Noah was returned to the forest, just outside the barrier, where his friends were already waiting, each looking somewhat shaken but resolute.
"What did you see?" Ilya asked, her voice tinged with awe.
"Each trial is personal," Noah said, glancing at the library now accessible to them.
"Let's share our experiences inside." As they entered the library, they found it untouched by time, the air filled with the scent of old paper and magic. Here, the shelves were laden with tomes of forgotten knowledge and artifacts of significant power. They spent hours poring over the ancient texts, uncovering spells and histories long forgotten. Noah found a series of manuscripts about ancient Aeonis, detailing interactions between humans and spirits in a way that shed new light on their current quests. As dusk fell, they prepared to leave the library, each member carrying a book or artifact chosen during their time inside. Noah held a tome that detailed the ways of ancient peacekeeping magics, which he believed could help in future encounters. "The library has given us much," Noah reflected as they made their way back through the forest.
"But the greatest gift may be the understanding of our own intentions and fears."
Let's use what we've learned wisely. After their enlightening experience at the Lost Library of Salantha, Noah and his team returned to their base, each member deeply absorbed in thought about the insights gained. The lessons learned had not only deepened their knowledge, but also their trust in one another.
They had seen parts of each other's souls, shared vulnerabilities and strengths, and this had forged between them a bond stronger than any they had before.
It was with this strengthened trust that they approached their next quest, returned to the crypts of Veridon, a place Noah knew well, but expected to find changed given recent experiences. As they prepared, Noah gathered the team for a briefing. The crypts of Veridon were once a straightforward quest location, known for its undead guardians and simple loot. But if my suspicions are correct, we might find the nature of both the guardians and the treasure significantly altered.
Lyra, ever observant, noted every quest seems to be about more than just the adventure now. It's about understanding the deeper currents of Aeonis.
That's true, Noah agreed. And it's about how we handle those discoveries.
Today, more than ever, we need to rely on each other's strengths. Arriving at the crypts by dusk, the team noticed immediately that the air was less oppressive than Noah remembered.
Instead of the usual chilling silence, there were sounds of life, night birds calling and the rustle of small animals in the underbrush. The crypts have always been a place of death, but it feels different now, more alive, Noah commented, leading them through the aged stone entrance. Inside, the corridors were dark and the air was cool and damp, but the expected hostile undead were conspicuously absent. Instead, they encountered spectral figures that appeared more curious than threatening, observing the team with a quiet intensity. Approaching one of the figures, Noah ventured a greeting. "We mean no harm.
We've come seeking understanding." The specter, a faded image of a once noble knight, nodded slowly.
"Many come to plunder, few to understand. What is it you seek?"
"We seek to learn what has changed here and why," Noah replied, his voice steady and clear.
The spirit seemed to consider his words before responding. "The crypts are healing from centuries of disturbance.
We guardians find new peace, but peace that must be tested."
It was then that the team was challenged, not by combat, but by puzzles and trials that tested their wisdom, compassion, and courage. Each trial was designed not only to challenge, but also to teach a lesson in history, ethics, or the balance of life and death. Mira faced a trial where she had to choose between saving a spirit from eternal bondage or gaining powerful artifacts. She chose to free the spirit, which earned the team, the spirit's gratitude, and a less powerful but still significant reward. Bren's trial tested his bravery and judgment as he navigated a labyrinth designed to incite fear and confusion. With the support of the team through whispered guidance and shared strength, he succeeded, further deepening the trust within the group. As they moved through the crypts, solving puzzles and learning from the spirits, Noah felt a profound connection to his team and the mission they had undertaken. The final chamber held not the expected treasure, but a garden thriving in the underground space, a symbol of life amidst death. The crypts have changed from a place of taking to a place of giving, Noah reflected as they stood in the midst of vibrant greenery. It's a reminder that even in death, there can be life, growth, and lessons to be learned. The team left the crypts of Veridon with new insights and a reinforced bond. The experience had not only provided them with unique rewards, but had also planted seeds of trust and unity that would grow stronger with each new challenge. After their transformative experience in the crypts of Veridon, Noah and his team were beginning to understand that the real treasures of their quests often weren't the tangible rewards, but the lessons learned and the bonds strengthened. The next quest on their map was to explore the ancient battlefield of Kareth, a place Noah knew from past gameplay as a site brimming with aggressive spectral soldiers reenacting their last battle.
But with the patterns of change they had witnessed, Noah prepared for a different experience this time.
Kareth has always been about conflict and chaos, Noah explained as they approached the site, which was known for its perpetually foggy environment and the haunting sounds of battle.
But I suspect we might find a new narrative unfolding here. Stay alert and remember, our strength comes from understanding, not just arms.
As they entered the battlefield, the expected clash of spectral warriors was markedly absent.
Instead, they were met with a somber quiet, broken only by a soft, mournful wailing that seemed to emanate from the very ground beneath their feet. Lyra, sensing the change, whispered, "It's as if the battle has paused, and maybe the soldiers are waiting for something, perhaps for peace."
Noah nodded, feeling the weight of her words.
Using his spectral insight skill, he reached out to sense the emotions and intentions of the spirits lingering amidst.
The skill allowed him to feel their confusion and lingering rage, but also a profound weariness. There is a leader among them, a general, who holds on to his anger more than the others, Noah discerned, guiding the team deeper into the battlefield.
If we can help him find peace, it might help all the spirits here.
They found the spectral general at the heart of the battlefield, his form more defined than the others, clad in battle-worn armor and staring out across the field with an expression of deep sorrow and unyielding resolve. Approaching cautiously, Noah addressed him, "General, we come as envoys of peace.
We wish to understand your pain and help you and your men move on."
The general's eyes, hollow yet piercing, met Noah's. Many have come to plunder the secrets of the dead, none to offer peace. Why should I trust you? Noah, understanding the depth of betrayal this spirit felt, responded earnestly, because we have seen too much unnecessary suffering here and elsewhere.
We seek to learn from it, to prevent it where we can.
Your battle is remembered, but it should no longer define you or your men.
Moved by Noah's words, the general lowered his sword, the mist around them stirring softly, as if reacting to his change in spirit.
I am tired of this eternal conflict. But how do we find peace when all we know is war? Together, Noah and his team, with input from the general, crafted a ritual of remembrance and release, using items from the battlefield and their own reserves of magic to weave a spell that would allow the soldiers to recall their humanity, not just their martial valor. Ilia chanted the incantations, her voice clear and compassionate, while Mira Igbren arranged the artifacts and patterns that symbolized peace and closure. Noah directed the flow of magic, guiding the energies to envelop each spirit on the battlefield.
As the ritual concluded, a light rain began to fall, washing over the battlefield like tears of relief. The spirits, one by one, began to dissipate, their forms glowing briefly before ascending in beams of light.
The general approached Noah, his spectral form, now less imposing, more human. Thank you for the peace you have brought us. May your battles also end in such peace.
He left behind his sword, now a relic, purified of its rage, imbued with a peaceful aura that Noah knew would help them in future endeavors.
As they left the now quiet battlefield, the team felt a collective sense of accomplishment. They had changed the legacy of Kareth from one of endless conflict to one of peace and resolution. Back at their base, the team reflected on the day's events.
Today was about more than just ghosts and battles, Noah mused, looking at the general's sword. It was about healing the wounds of the past, not just for those spirits, but maybe for us too. After the profound experience at the battlefield of Kareth, Noah's group grew in reputation, known not only as capable adventurers, but as healers of ancient wounds.
Their next challenge took them to the arcane towers of Mar, a place where, in Noah's previous experiences, powerful spells and aggressive guardians protected invaluable magical artifacts. Given the pattern of their recent adventures, Noah expected that the nature of their quest in the towers might hold different challenges and rewards than before.
As they set off towards the looming silhouette of the towers at dawn, Noah briefed his group. The Towers of Mur were once the domain of a powerful sorcerer, known for hoarding magical knowledge. The artifacts we find here may be different from those I remember.
The towers test not just our combat skills, but our wisdom and intent. Upon arriving at the entrance of the towers, they were not met with the expected resistance.
Instead, the large doors swung open silently as they approached, as if inviting them in.
The interior was vast and dimly lit by floating orbs of light that cast long shadows across the stone floors. Lyra, intrigued by the change, noted, "It seems we're expected." Noah nodded, his senses alert. Using his aura reading skill, he scanned the surrounding area for magical traps or hidden entities.
The defenses are active, but they're evaluating us differently.
Stay focused and aware of your surroundings. As they ascended the spiraling staircase of the first tower, they encountered their first test, a room sealed by a magical barrier that pulsed with energy. At the center of the room, a pedestal held an ancient tome, its pages fluttering open as if beckoned by their presence. Noah approached the barrier, his hand raised to halt his companions.
This is a barrier of truth.
It allows only those who speak a truth about themselves to pass. Each member of the team stepped forward to share a personal truth, their voices resonating with the sincerity of their admissions. As each truth was acknowledged by the barrier, it dimmed slightly until finally it dissipated completely, allowing them access to the tome. Mira, who last spoke her truth, picked up the tome, a sense of reverence in her touch.
It's a spell book, but it's more than that.
It's a diary of the sorcerer's journey towards understanding magic's true purpose.
They continued deeper into the towers, each level presenting a new challenge that tested their knowledge, ethics, and courage.
In one chamber, they faced illusions of their deepest fears. In another, they solved intricate puzzles that required them to work in perfect sync, relying heavily on their trust in each other.
The final test was the most demanding.
In the highest tower, they found a chamber with a single large crystal that radiated powerful magical energy. As they entered, the crystal activated, projecting images of potential futures, some showing great disasters brought about by the misuse of magical power. Noah stepped forward, addressing the vision. We understand the responsibility that comes with power.
We seek to ensure that our actions lead not to destruction but to harmony and understanding.
The visions faded, and in their place, the crystal bestowed a gift that would aid them in protecting Aeonis from the shadows they were yet to face. As they left the arcane towers, each member of the team carried with them not just the physical artifacts they had found, but a deeper understanding of their own powers and the impacts those powers could have on the world.
Back at their base, Noah gathered the group for a debrief. Today, we were reminded of the weight of power and the importance of wielding it wisely. Let's continue to use our strengths to heal and protect, not just to seek adventure. The revelations at the arcane towers of Mar had left a profound impact on Noah and his team.
The understanding that their actions could echo through time, affecting not just their own lives, but the world of Aeonis itself, imbued them with a renewed sense of purpose. Their next quest led them to the Shattered Isles, a place of ancient ruins and forgotten magic where Noah had previously faced formidable elemental guardians.
Expecting the unexpected, they prepared for a journey that might reveal more than just hidden treasures.
As the morning mist clung to the waters around the Shattered Isles, the team disembarked from their small boat onto the rocky shores. The air was thick with the salty spray of the sea, and the cries of distant seabirds filled the air with a haunting melody. Last time I was here, the Guardians were protectors of the relics, Noah explained as they trekked towards the central island, the largest of the cluster. This time, I suspect their role might have evolved.
Be on your guard, and remember, our goal is to understand, not conquer.
As they approached the heart of the island, a sudden gust of wind swept across the path, whipping around them with an intensity that suggested it was no ordinary weather pattern. Noah paused, raising his hand to signal a halt. "This is an elemental test," he said, his voice steady despite the increasing wind.
The Guardians want to gauge our intentions.
Using his elemental commune skill, Noah reached out to the spirits of the wind, his words, a soft chant that blended with the howling gales.
We come in search of knowledge and understanding. We respect the power you hold and wish to learn from it, not exploit it.
The winds gradually subsided, and in their place appeared a figure formed from the swirling air, its features both fierce and beautiful.
You speak words of respect, the elemental guardian said, its voice brought the wind.
But many have come before you with words that turn to dust. Show us your truth. The team was then faced with a series of challenges designed to test their sincerity and strength. First, they navigated a maze of wind-blown paths that changed directions at a moment's notice. Lyra led this part, her agility and keen sense of direction guiding them through to safety. Next, they encountered a series of physical and magical barriers that required them to use non-lethal methods to bypass. Mira and Elia collaborated here, combining their skills in magic and healing to calm rather than destroy the obstacles in their path.
Finally, at the heart of the island, they faced the ultimate test, a giant vortex of wind that held within it a core of pure energy.
Noah stepped forward, his resolve clear. To pass this test, we must balance the energy within the vortex, using it to heal the island's wounds, not just to reach the center. Together, they worked to redirect the flow of the vortex, channeling its energy into the surrounding land, where signs of past battles had left scars on the natural beauty of the isles.
As the energy seeped into the earth, new life began to sprout green and vibrant. The Wind Guardian, now in a more human-like form, nodded in approval. You have shown your worth, not by conquering, but by restoring.
This is the true power of legacy. As a reward, the Guardian granted them an ancient artifact known as the Heart of Zephyr, a talisman that could calm storms and bring peace to troubled areas.
Returning to their boat, the team felt a weight lifted from their shoulders.
They had passed the Guardian's tests, proving that their intentions were pure and their actions just.
Back at their base, as they gathered to discuss the day's events, Noah reflected on their journey. Today we were tested not just by physical challenges, but by the moral choices we made.
We have upheld the legacy of those who came before us, using our power to heal and protect. As Noah and his team continued to delve deeper into the mysteries of Aeonis and reshape its narratives, the need for a more permanent base of operations became evident. They decided to establish their headquarters in an abandoned fortress located at the edge of the Emerald Forest, a place rich with resources and steeped in history. The fortress, once a stronghold during the Age of Heroes, had fallen into disrepair, but its strategic location and solid foundations made it an ideal choice for their needs. As they approached the fortress, the sight of the ancient stone walls covered in ivy and weathered by time filled the team with a sense of purpose. "This place has seen many battles," Noah remarked, his eyes scanning the crumbling battlements.
But it will now serve as a beacon of hope and learning. The first task was to assess the condition of the fortress and plan the necessary repairs.
Noah, alongside Mira and Bren, walked through the echoing halls and overgrown courtyards, making notes of what needed to be restored or rebuilt.
Structurally, the main keep is sound, but the outer walls need significant work, Bren observed, examining a section of the wall where stones had fallen away.
"We'll also need to clear the overgrowth and restore the water supply system," Mira added, pointing towards the overgrown aqueducts that once brought water from the nearby hills.
As they prepared to start the restoration, Noah used his structural insight skill to reveal any hidden weaknesses in the buildings and to suggest the best methods for repair. There are some old enchantments here that were designed to protect the fortress.
"Some of them can be reactivated to help with the defenses," he noted, touching a glyph on the wall that flickered weakly under his fingers. The team set to work, each member using their unique skills to contribute. Lyra and Elia focused on clearing the overgrowth and restoring the gardens, bringing life back to the once neglected grounds. During the renovations, they discovered a hidden chamber beneath the main keep, uncovered by Bren as he repaired a collapsed wall. Inside the chamber, they found ancient artifacts and scrolls that detailed the history of the fortress and its significance in the region's past conflicts.
These could be invaluable for understanding the strategic importance of this place, Noah said, examining a scroll that depicted detailed battle plans from centuries ago.
"We can learn from these to better protect our base." As the days passed, the fortress slowly transformed from a ruin into a thriving base of operations. The outer walls were reinforced, the towers repaired, and modern defenses installed alongside the ancient enchantments. One evening, as the team gathered in the newly restored main hall, Noah addressed the group.
"This fortress is more than just our base. It's a symbol of our journey and our commitment to Aeonis. From here, we can plan our quests, study the lore we've collected, and maybe even train others in the future." Mira nodded in agreement, her eyes bright with enthusiasm.
"It's also a place where we can come together as a family, united by our common purpose."
"This fortress is our home now."
As they settled into their new base, the team felt a renewed sense of camaraderie and purpose. The fortress was not only a strategic asset, but a home that symbolized their growth and unity. From this stronghold, they would continue to explore the changing world of Aeonis, ready to face whatever challenges came their way, supported by the strength of their bonds and the security of their new home.
With their new base established in the old fortress, Noah and his team felt more prepared and secure than ever. However, the fortress was not just a safe haven, but a hub from which they could extend their influence and learning throughout Aeonis. Noah, recognizing the potential of their new headquarters, proposed the next phase of their mission, expanding their reach to help nearby settlements and explore further into the unknown regions of Aeonis.
"Building our base was the first step," Noah began as the team gathered around a large table spread with maps and notes.
"Now it's time to establish connections with neighboring areas. We need allies, and there are many out there who could benefit from our knowledge and protection." The team nodded in agreement, motivated by Noah's vision.
"Let's start with the village of Delwyn."
"They've been facing increased attacks from wild creatures," Lyra suggested, pointing to a spot on the map.
"We could help fortify their defenses."
Noah approved of the plan.
"Good idea, Lyra. Let's prepare a team to visit Delwyn. We'll offer our help and learn more about their situation."
It's a chance to test our new base's capabilities in supporting external missions.
As preparations were underway, Noah decided to use his strategic insight skill to optimize their approach. We need to consider our resources and how best to deploy them. This mission could set a precedent for how we handle external requests for help. The team divided tasks according to their skills. Mira and Bren would lead the mission to Delwyn, focusing on strengthening the village's physical defenses and training the villagers to protect themselves. Elia and Lyra would remain at the base, working on developing healing and support strategies for future missions. Before Mira and Bren departed, Noah pulled them aside for a final briefing.
Remember, this isn't just about building defenses.
It's about building trust. We need to listen to the villagers, understand their needs, and adapt our help accordingly. With the team ready, Mira and Bren set out for Delwyn. Upon arrival, they were met with a mixture of curiosity and caution from the villagers. Mira took the lead in discussions, her diplomatic skills coming to the fore as she explained their intentions. "We're here to help, not to take over," Mira assured the village leader, an elderly man named Harvin.
We've faced similar threats ourselves and have learned a few strategies that might help.
Bren added, "We also brought some supplies to reinforce your homes and a plan to train your watchmen with effective defense techniques." Gradually, the villagers warmed up to the idea, and soon Mira and Bren were actively involved in directing the fortification of the village and training sessions.
Meanwhile, Noah monitored their progress from the base, providing guidance through messenger birds, a method that proved both efficient and reliable.
Over the next few days, Delwyn transformed under their care. The defenses were strengthened with new techniques adapted from the team's experiences, and the villagers grew more confident in their ability to defend themselves. Back at the base, Noah and Lyra worked on refining their long-range support techniques, developing signals and communication strategies that would allow them to offer real-time assistance to their teams in the field. As Mira and Bren returned to the base, their success in Delwyn marked a significant milestone. They had not only helped a vulnerable community, but had also established a model for future missions. Gathering in the main hall of the fortress, the team celebrated their success.
"This mission was a testament to what we stand for," Noah said, addressing the group. "We're not just adventurers, we're guardians, educators, and allies. Our base here is not just a place of refuge, but a beacon of hope for those in need." Following the successful mission to Delwyn, Noah and his team were inspired to extend their influence even further across Aeonis.
The fortress had truly become a base of operations, a center from which they could dispatch aid, gather information, and coordinate with allies. The next logical step was to establish a network of contacts throughout the region, creating a system of mutual assistance and information sharing. This network would not only enhance their capabilities, but also solidify their role as protectors and benefactors of Aeonis.
Noah gathered his team for a strategic planning session in the newly established war room, a space filled with maps, artifacts, and tools for communication. "Our next goal is to create a network that connects us with other communities, similar to what we've started with Delwyn," Noah explained, pointing to various locations on the map.
This network will help us respond more quickly to threats, share resources, and spread knowledge. Lyra, who had shown a keen interest in diplomacy, suggested we should consider hosting a summit here at the fortress. It could serve as a neutral ground where leaders from different communities can come together to discuss their needs and how we can help. That's an excellent idea, Noah agreed, pleased with her initiative. A summit would not only establish our base as a center of collaboration, but also allow us to better understand the dynamics of the region.
Preparations for the summit began immediately.
Invitations were sent out to leaders and representatives from various towns and villages, each carefully crafted by Lyra and Noah to convey their intentions of peace and cooperation. As responses began to arrive, the fortress buzzed with activity, with Elia and Mira organizing the logistics of hosting the event, from accommodations to security.
Meanwhile, Noah and Bren focused on fortifying the base further, enhancing its defenses and ensuring that it would be a safe and welcoming place for all their guests. Noah used his enhancement magic to strengthen the walls and gates, while Bren trained a select group of guards in non-lethal crowd control techniques, ensuring they were prepared to maintain order without causing harm.
As the day of the summit approached, representatives from various communities began to arrive, each greeted personally by Noah and his team. The main hall of the fortress was transformed into a grand meeting space, with banners representing each community hanging from the walls, symbolizing unity and cooperation.
The summit began with opening remarks from Noah, who stood before the gathered crowd, his voice calm and reassuring. "We are here not as rulers, but as partners," he stated.
Each of us brings different strengths and perspectives to the table, and together we can build a network that benefits us all. The discussions that followed focused on various key issues, including trade, security, and environmental challenges. Noah and his team listened intently, offering their support and sharing their experiences and resources. Lyra took detailed notes, identifying areas where their base could provide immediate assistance, such as training local guards or supplying healing potions. One of the highlights of the summit was the signing of the Pact of Unity, a formal agreement that established a coalition of communities committed to supporting each other. Each leader placed their seal on the document, which was then displayed in the main hall, a symbol of their collective commitment.
As the summit concluded, the leaders departed with promises of future collaboration and expressions of gratitude for the hospitality and vision that Noah and his team had shown.
The success of the event was a testament to their hard work and dedication to their mission. With the new network in place, Noah felt a profound sense of accomplishment and optimism about the future.
"We've laid the foundations for something truly special," he told his team as they gathered to reflect on the event.
Our actions today will resonate throughout Aeonis, bringing more stability and prosperity to its people.
The summit had successfully established Noah's fortress as a beacon of cooperation and unity.
However, the increased visibility of their success also brought new challenges. As word of the fortress's capabilities and Noah's growing influence spread, it attracted the attention of not just those seeking partnership, but also those harboring jealousy and skepticism. A rift began to form among the adventurers and leaders in Aeonis, with some questioning the concentration of power and resources under Noah's leadership. During a routine meeting in the war room, where the team discussed upcoming missions and reports from their allies, Lyra brought an urgent issue to Noah's attention.
"There's growing concern among some of the smaller communities," she reported, her expression serious. "They fear that we might become too powerful, too central in the affairs of Aeonis."
Noah listened intently, his brow furrowed. "Our intention has always been to empower, not overpower.
We need to address these concerns directly.
Perhaps it's time for a more transparent approach." Deciding to take proactive steps, Noah organized a series of open forums, inviting anyone with doubts to visit the fortress and see firsthand how it operated. He also planned to decentralize some of their operations, supporting outposts in various communities to distribute power more evenly. As the first forum approached, Noah prepared to address a mixed audience of supporters and skeptics. He opened the gathering with a clear message of unity and transparency. "We've invited you all here today to show that our doors and our intentions are open. We are here to serve Aeonis, not to rule it." The session included a tour of the fortress, demonstrations of their training programs, and open discussions about the distribution of resources. Noah and his team answered questions and shared their strategic plans, emphasizing their commitment to collective security and prosperity. However, the rift was not so easily mended. During a heated discussion, a faction led by a charismatic adventurer named Kael voiced strong opposition.
"You claim to support equality, but it's your banner we see on every outpost, your rules we follow in every training session.
How is this not a new kingdom under a different name?" Noah recognized the validity of some points raised by Kael and took the opportunity to reflect on their approach.
"It's clear we need to do better at sharing leadership.
Let's establish a council with representatives from all allied communities.
This fortress will be just one of many voices, not the only one." This proposal sparked a lengthy debate filled with passionate speeches and varying opinions.
In the end, the council was agreed upon with plans to meet quarterly to discuss and vote on major decisions affecting the network. The establishment of the council was a significant step, But it also marked the beginning of a complex power dynamic that Noah and his team had to navigate carefully. The weeks following the forum were a test of diplomacy and governance as they worked to integrate diverse viewpoints and maintain the unity of their network. Amid these challenges, Noah kept the team focused on their broader mission to protect and enhance the lives of Aeonis' citizens.
This tension among us, Noah said during one of their strategy sessions, is just another challenge to overcome.
We must not only defend against external threats, but also ensure that we do not become a threat ourselves. As they adapted to these new responsibilities, the team also continued their explorations and missions, which provided both a respite from political tensions and vital opportunities to demonstrate their continued commitment to Aeonis' well-being.
Following the establishment of the Council and the open forums, Noah found himself increasingly involved in the political landscape of Aeonis.
This new role required a delicate balance between leadership and diplomacy, as he worked to maintain the unity and effectiveness of the growing network of communities. The challenge was to ensure that the Council did not merely become a forum for power struggles, but a productive body that contributed positively to the region.
As the first official Council meeting approached, Noah prepared meticulously, aware that the outcomes of this meeting could set the tone for future interactions.
The Council consisted of representatives from various communities, each with their own agendas and priorities.
Noah's goal was to foster a spirit of collaboration and mutual respect among the diverse group.
The Council is an opportunity for all of us to share in the governance of our network, Noah explained to his team during a strategy session. We must be open to listening and adapting, not just leading. At the council meeting held in the main hall of the fortress, representatives gathered around a large round table, designed to remove any head of the table and symbolize the equality of all voices. Noah opened the meeting with a call for unity.
"We are here not just to represent our own interests, but to build a common future," he began, addressing the council. "Let us use this opportunity to strengthen our bonds and address our challenges together."
The initial discussions were promising, with representatives sharing updates from their regions and expressing their community's needs. However, as the council delved into more contentious issues, such as resource distribution and defense strategies, tensions began to surface.
KL, the charismatic leader who had previously voiced strong concerns about Noah's leadership, challenged the council's approach to resource allocation.
"We need more than just equal sharing. We need equitable solutions that consider the unique challenges of each community," he argued passionately. Noah recognized the validity in Keel's points and moderated the discussion to allow for a deeper exploration of what equitable solutions might look like. This led to a robust debate, with various representatives offering insights and suggestions.
The discussion was intense but productive, leading to the adoption of a new framework for resource allocation that included factors like community size, threat level, and economic capacity.
Noah facilitated the discussion with a focus on consensus building, ensuring that all voices were heard and considered. As the meeting progressed, the council also addressed the need for a unified defense strategy, particularly in response to the increasing threats from rogue elements and wild creatures in some regions. Mira and Bren shared their expertise, proposing a training program for community militias that would be supported by the fortress but led locally. This proposal was met with enthusiasm as it empowered communities while providing them with the support they needed to be effective. The council agreed to pilot the program in 3 different regions with plans to expand based on the results. By the end of the meeting, Noah felt a cautious optimism. The council had managed to navigate through its initial disputes and had come together to make meaningful decisions that would benefit the entire network. The representatives left the meeting with a sense of accomplishment and a greater trust in the process. However, Noah was aware that the real work was just beginning. Implementing the council's decisions and maintaining the momentum of cooperation would require continuous effort and vigilance. He prepared to return to his strategic planning, committed to supporting the council's initiatives and ensuring that the fortress continued to serve as a pillar of stability and progress. With the council established and the new governance structures beginning to take shape, Noah decided it was time to celebrate the unity and resilience of their growing community. The first festival, as he called it, would be a grand event held at the fortress, inviting all allied communities to partake in games, trade, and festivities. It was also an opportunity to showcase the cultural richness of Aeonis and strengthen the bonds between different groups.
As the planning for the festival began, Noah and his team were keen on making it a symbol of the collaborative spirit they had fostered. This festival will not just be a celebration, but also a reflection of what we've achieved together, Noah explained to the team.
Each community will have the chance to share something unique, crafts, foods, or stories. Lyra took the lead on coordinating with the various communities, gathering information about what they would like to contribute to the festival. Mira and Bren focused on setting up the physical spaces, organizing areas for each type of activity, including market stalls, performance stages, and competition arenas. As the festival drew closer, Noah worked on a special opening ceremony that would not only kick off the festivities, but also set a tone of unity and collective joy. Using his harmonic convergence skill, he planned a sequence of musical performances involving artists from different regions, each blending their traditional sounds into a harmonious whole. When the day of the festival arrived, the fortress was transformed. Colorful banners flew from the walls, and the air was filled with the scents of spiced meats, sweet pastries, and fresh earth. People from all across Aeonis streamed through the gates, their faces bright with anticipation. Noah opened the festival with a speech at the central square, surrounded by the council members and a crowd of attendees.
Today, we celebrate not just the joy of unity, but the strength it brings, he announced, his voice carrying over the crowd. Let this festival be a testament to the beauty of our combined cultures and the enduring power of our collaboration.
The ceremony was followed by a vibrant parade featuring traditional costumes and dances from the various communities. Noah watched with pride as the parade wound its way through the fortress grounds, a living tapestry of Aeonis' diversity and creativity. As the day progressed, the festival attendees engaged in various activities. There were competitions like archery and horse racing, which not only provided entertainment, but also allowed people from different backgrounds to mingle and learn from each other.
The market stalls were a particular hit, with artisans and farmers eager to trade and showcase their best products. However, as the evening approached, a dispute arose at one of the market stalls over a trade deal gone wrong.
The situation threatened to escalate, with harsh words exchanged and the mood at the nearby stalls souring. Hearing of the dispute, Noah quickly intervened, using his diplomatic resolve skill to calm the rising tensions.
He listened to both parties, mediated the discussion, and helped them reach a satisfactory compromise.
"Let us remember why we are here today," he reminded them gently.
This festival is about building bridges, not widening gaps.
The quick resolution of the dispute and Noah's fair handling of the situation were praised by many attendees, reinforcing his role not just as a leader, but as a mediator and peacekeeper.
As the festival came to a close with a stunning display of fireworks, Noah felt a deep satisfaction.
The event had not only been a celebration, but also a reaffirmation of the collective journey of Aeonis' communities. It had strengthened old alliances and sparked new friendships, laying down the roots for a more interconnected and harmonious region.
The success of the first festival had a lasting impact, leaving the communities of Aeonis more interconnected and supportive of one another.
However, with the heightened visibility of the festival's success came new challenges. As the fortress grew in prominence, it drew not only those seeking friendship, but also those harboring envy and resentment. Noah was aware that maintaining the delicate balance of power and ensuring the safety of all involved would require vigilant leadership and strategic foresight. In the weeks following the festival, reports began to arrive at the fortress about mysterious disturbances at the borders of several allied communities.
These incidents ranged from minor thefts to more sinister sabotage, which seemed calculated to sow discord among the newly united groups.
Concerned about these developments, Noah convened a meeting with the council to address the situation.
"We have come so far in building our bonds and establishing trust," Noah began addressing the council gathered in the war room. "We cannot allow these incidents to undermine our progress.
We need a coordinated response to these threats."
The council agreed, and it was decided that Noah would lead a team to investigate these disturbances, starting with the most severely affected community, the village of Green Hollow.
Before departing, Noah met with his core team to plan their approach.
We need to be cautious. Noah advised Mira, Bren, Lyra, and Elia as they prepared for the journey. These disturbances could be the work of someone trying to test our resolve.
We'll need to use all our skills to get to the bottom of this. Upon arrival in Green Hollow, the team was greeted by the village leader, Maris, who had previously helped them with the forest blight. She briefed them on the recent events, describing how essential supplies had been stolen and how critical infrastructure had been suddenly damaged. Noah and his team began their investigation by inspecting the affected areas. Using his enhanced perception skill, Noah was able to detect traces of magical interference, subtle but unmistakable signs that suggested a skilled saboteur. This wasn't just petty theft. Noah concluded sharing his findings with the team. Someone used magic to bypass security measures.
We're dealing with a serious threat.
Determined to catch the perpetrator, Noah devised a plan to set a trap.
He asked Maris to spread word about a new shipment of supplies, hoping to lure the saboteur into making another move.
Meanwhile, Noah and Bren would conceal themselves near the storage area, while Mira and Lyra patrolled the perimeter. The trap was set, and as night fell, the team took their positions.
Hours passed with no sign of disturbance, but Noah remained vigilant, his senses tuned to any hint of magic or movement.
Finally, just before dawn, there was a subtle shift in the air, ripple of magic that Noah felt through his attuned senses. There, he whispered to Bren, nodding toward a shadow moving towards the storage area. As the figure approached, Noah and Bren sprang into action, intercepting the would-be saboteur with a swift, non-lethal takedown. The culprit was a young mage from a neighboring village, driven by jealousy and a misguided belief that undermining the alliance would restore his village's independence, which he felt was threatened by the growing influence of Noah's network. Noah spoke to the young mage with a firm but understanding tone.
I know you're afraid of losing your home's identity, but isolating yourselves isn't the answer.
We must work together, not against each other. What you see as influence, we mean as support. Realizing his error and the potential consequences of his actions, the young mage expressed remorse. Noah decided to use this as a learning opportunity, not just for the mage, but for all communities.
In the following council meeting, the incident was discussed openly.
Noah used it to address underlying fears and misconceptions about the alliance. It led to a broader conversation about autonomy, support, and the true meaning of independence within a united network. Following the incident in Green Hollow and the council meeting that addressed it, Noah's commitment to strengthening the fabric of their community alliance grew even stronger. The first festival had sparked a celebration of diversity, but Noah saw an opportunity to weave these diverse strands into a more cohesive tapestry. He proposed an initiative called A Tapestry of Traditions, a cultural exchange program designed to deepen understanding and appreciation among the communities by sharing and celebrating each other's heritage and traditions. The idea was to have each community host a cultural day where they could showcase their unique customs, cuisine, arts, and more. Noah believed this would not only enhance relationships, but also dissolve misconceptions and prejudices that might exist among the various groups. Elia, who had a deep appreciation for cultural histories, was put in charge of coordinating the program. She worked closely with Lyra to reach out to all the allied communities, inviting them to participate and share what made their culture unique. As the program was rolled out, the fortress served as the pilot venue, hosting the first cultural day.
The courtyard was festooned with colorful banners and stalls, each representing different aspects of a participating community's culture.
Noah opened the event with a speech about the value of diversity and unity.
Today we gather not just to witness, but to participate and appreciate the rich tapestry that makes up our world.
Each tradition you see here today is a thread in the fabric of Aeonis, and together they create a picture more beautiful than any single piece alone. The day was filled with vibrant displays of dance, music, and storytelling.
Noah and his team actively participated, learning traditional dances, tasting new foods, and listening to stories that spanned generations.
Mira, with her adventurous spirit, took part in a traditional warrior's dance, her movements eliciting cheers from the crowd. Bren, meanwhile, was drawn to the culinary arts being demonstrated.
He tried his hand at making traditional flatbreads from a recipe shared by a visiting chef, his efforts resulting in both laughter and applause as he awkwardly flipped the bread in a pan.
Lyra spent her time among the storytellers, captivated by the myths and legends that shaped the beliefs of their allies. She took detailed notes, seeing the potential to weave these stories into the educational programs they were developing for the young members of their community. As the day drew to a close, Noah gathered everyone for a final ceremony. Lanterns were released into the sky, each one bearing wishes for continued peace and collaboration.
Watching the lanterns drift into the evening sky, Noah felt a profound sense of accomplishment and hope. This is only the beginning, he told those gathered.
Let's take this spirit back to our homes and continue to share, learn, and grow together. The cultural days became a regular part of their alliance's activities, with each community taking turns to host and showcase their heritage. These events not only brought joy and celebration, but also played a crucial role in building a foundation of mutual respect and understanding among the communities. The success of the cultural exchange program had not only fortified the bonds within the alliance, but also enhanced Noah's reputation as a leader with a profound commitment to peace and unity.
However, amidst these achievements, an unexpected discovery during one of their routine explorations brought a new dimension to their journey: the unearthing of an ancient prophecy that seemed eerily relevant to their current circumstances.
While renovating a remote part of the fortress to expand their library, Aeonis stumbled upon a hidden chamber. Inside, amidst various ancient artifacts, lay a sealed scroll, its contents preserved through centuries. Intrigued, Aeonis immediately brought the scroll to Noah and the team. Gathered in their study, Noah carefully opened the scroll, revealing its contents. The ancient text was written in a forgotten dialect, which Noah could decipher only because of his extensive study of Aeonian history. As he translated the text aloud, a sense of urgency filled the room. The prophecy spoke of a time's nomad, a figure from beyond, who would emerge in an era of great turmoil to guide the realm towards unity or chaos. The prophecy was cryptic about the nature of the challenges, but clear about the pivotal role this figure would play. The time's nomad could be a force for great good or great destruction. Noah mused, his mind racing with the implications.
It's possible that this prophecy could be referring to someone like me, given how I've come to be here, what we've been trying to accomplish.
The team was silent, absorbing the weight of the words. Lyra finally broke the silence. If this prophecy is about you, Noah, it means we are on a path that has been foreseen for centuries.
It's both an opportunity and a burden.
Noah nodded, deeply thoughtful. We need to consider this carefully.
If my actions are fulfilling this prophecy, then each decision we make could have repercussions predicted long ago.
We must ensure that our path leads to unity, not chaos. Determined to understand more about the prophecy and its potential implications for their mission, Noah organized a quest to seek out the last known descendants of the seers who wrote the prophecy. The journey led them to the ancient city of Delphi, a place rumored to have once housed a great oracle. Upon their arrival in Delphi, they were met with suspicion by the locals, who were protective of their historical secrets.
However, Noah's diplomatic skills and genuine respect for their traditions gradually won them over.
The elder of the city, a wise woman named Sibella, eventually agreed to discuss the prophecy with Noah.
The prophecy has been in our care for generations, she explained in their meeting. It was said that the time's nomad would face a series of trials that would not only test their strength, but also their heart and purpose.
Noah listened intently, realizing the gravity of his role and the decisions he would have to make. How will these trials manifest? And how can we prepare for them?
The trials will come naturally, drawn to you as you continue your journey, Sibella said. You must remain true to your principles, but be willing to evolve.
The greatest challenge for the time's nomad is to not lose sight of their humanity amidst the quest for unity.
Thankful for the guidance, Noah and his team left Delphi with a new sense of purpose.
They understood that the prophecy did not just place responsibility on Noah's shoulders, but also on theirs as his supporters and friends. As they traveled back to the fortress, Noah reflected on Sibylla's words.
This journey is not just about what we do, but who we become in the process.
We must be vigilant, not just against external threats, but also against the dangers of losing ourselves. In the weeks following their return from Delphi, Noah and his team felt the weight of the prophecy's implications more acutely.
The fortress had become not just their base of operations, but a symbolic center of hope and a potential ground zero for the trials foretold by the prophecy.
Noah, ever vigilant, prepared his team for any challenge that might arise, emphasizing the need to stay true to their mission while remaining adaptable to unforeseen changes. One chilly morning, as the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Noah gathered his team in the main hall for a strategic meeting. The air was tense, the recent discoveries weighing heavily on everyone's mind.
"We've been reactive for too long," Noah started, his voice firm yet thoughtful. "With the prophecy hanging over us, we need to be proactive. We must strengthen our alliances further and prepare for the possibility that the trials could begin sooner than we expect."
Lyra, taking cues from Noah's strategic mindset, suggested enhancing their intelligence network. "We should expand our scouting missions. If there are signs of these trials beginning, we need to know as soon as possible." Noah agreed, assigning Lyra and a team of scouts to monitor the region for any unusual activity, magical disturbances, unexplained weather patterns, or shifts in wildlife behavior that might indicate the onset of a trial. Meanwhile, Elia focused on bolstering their resources, particularly in medical and magical supplies. "If we're to face unknown challenges, we'll need to be prepared to handle injuries or curses," she explained, organizing her team to stockpile necessary supplies and enhance their healing facilities. As the day progressed, an urgent message arrived from a distant village, delivered by a breathless messenger. The village, known for its peaceful aura and seldom troubled by the conflicts of the outer regions, was experiencing a series of violent storms and inexplicable seismic activities, phenomena they had never encountered before. Recognizing this as a potential onset of the trials, Noah decided to lead a team there himself. Before departing, he addressed his group, reinforcing the gravity of their task.
"This might be the beginning of what the prophecy foretold. Stay alert, stay calm, and remember, our goal is to protect and understand, not just to confront."
Upon arriving at the village, the team was met with scenes of chaos.
Homes were damaged, fields flooded, and the villagers were in a state of despair.
Noah immediately set to work, using his elemental calm skill to soothe the raging weather, gradually bringing the winds and rains under control. With the immediate threat subdued, Noah and Mira investigated the source of the seismic disturbances. Deep within the nearby woods, they discovered an ancient seal, partially broken and emanating a dark energy that seemed to stir the land itself. "It appears this seal was holding back something powerful," Mira noted, examining the glyphs surrounding the artifact. Noah, connecting the dots with the prophecy, realized they needed to repair the seal before whatever was contained within it fully awakened. Using his arcane restoration skill, he worked alongside Mira to mend the fractures, reinforcing the magical bonds with their combined energies. After hours of intense focus, the seal was restored and the disturbances ceased. The village, saved from further destruction, expressed their gratitude with profound relief. Noah took a moment to speak with the villagers, explaining the nature of their mission and the importance of remaining vigilant. As they returned to the fortress, Noah reflected on the day's events. The successful intervention had not only prevented a disaster, but had also proven that they were on the right path. The trials of the prophecy were real, and they were beginning.
But with each challenge they grew stronger, more prepared, and more united.
Back at the fortress as they debriefed, Noah felt a mixture of concern and determination.
"Today was a confirmation," he told his team. "The trials are upon us, but so are opportunities to prove that we can rise to the occasion. Let's continue to prepare, to strengthen our bonds, and to face each challenge, not as a threat, but as a chance to grow and learn."
As Noah's influence in Aeonis grew and the fortress became a recognized hub of unity and support, new alliances were formed, strengthening the community network.
However, not all were pleased with the rise of what they viewed as Noah's empire.
Rumblings of dissent grew, particularly from older established guilds that saw their influence waning as Noah's new order took root. These guilds, once pivotal in regional politics and economics, found themselves grappling with a new reality where their traditional power bases were eroded by Noah's progressive, inclusive policies. Recognizing the tension, Noah convened a meeting with his core team to address the growing challenge. "We need to engage with these guilds directly," he suggested.
If we can bring them into the fold rather than letting them feel sidelined, it might help ease the transition and dispel some of the fears about our intentions. Lyra, skilled in diplomacy, proposed a summit with the leaders of the old guilds.
A face-to-face meeting could help us address their concerns and show that we respect their history and contributions to Aeonis. With the council's approval, Noah and Lyra organized the summit at the fortress, inviting the heads of the most influential guilds. As the guild leaders arrived, it was clear from their wary expressions and stiff formalities that bridging the gap would be no small task. Noah opened the summit with a speech that acknowledged the guild's long-standing roles and the shifting dynamics. "We recognize and honor the foundations you have built," Noah stated earnestly.
Our goal is not to overshadow, but to collaborate, to combine the old and the new in ways that respect our past while forging a sustainable future.
The discussions that followed were tense, but gradually became more constructive as Noah and his team presented their vision of a united Aeonis, highlighting how the guilds could play significant roles in this new era. They proposed joint ventures in trade, security, and cultural projects that could benefit from the guild's expertise and historical knowledge. One of the oldest guild leaders, a seasoned merchant named Thorin, expressed his concerns. "You speak of unity and progress, but many of us have seen our livelihoods threatened by the changes you champion. How do you propose to mitigate these impacts?" Noah, prepared for such queries, outlined specific programs designed to support guilds through the transition.
We're establishing funds to aid those most affected by the changes and setting up training programs to help guild members adapt and find new opportunities within our growing network.
Mira and Bren, who had been working on these programs, provided detailed presentations on how these initiatives had already begun to help similar communities, showing evidence of increased trade, security, and cultural enrichment that benefited all. As the summit concluded, the atmosphere had shifted from wary to cautiously optimistic. Several guild leaders, including Thorin, agreed to pilot the joint ventures, and plans were made for follow-up meetings to monitor the progress and adjust the programs as needed. Back at the fortress, Noah and his team debriefed, feeling hopeful but aware of the challenges ahead.
Today was a step forward, Noah reflected, but the path to true unity is long and fraught with obstacles. We must remain vigilant and adaptable, always ready to listen and adjust.
The aftermath of the summit with the old guilds had set into motion a series of events that would significantly reshape the political landscape of Aeonis. As Noah's influence continued to expand, new guilds began to form. Some aligned with Noah's vision, and others positioning themselves in opposition. These developments brought both opportunities and challenges as rivalries and alliances began to shape the future of the region. Noah, aware of the delicate balance of power, decided to strengthen his network by formally recognizing and supporting the new guilds that shared his goals of unity and cooperation.
At the same time, he needed to address the growing opposition in a way that maintained peace and avoided open conflict.
"We must be proactive in engaging with these new guilds," Noah told his team during a strategy meeting at the fortress. "Let's invite their leaders here. We can offer support for their initiatives and find common ground."
For those opposed, we need to understand their concerns and see if there is a way to work together rather than against each other. Lyra, tasked with outreach, organized a series of meetings with the leaders of both allied and rival guilds.
The first of these meetings brought together representatives from 3 new guilds: the Merchants of Dawn, a trading guild that had quickly risen in prominence, the Shieldbearers, a guild focused on security and defense, and the Arcanist Circle, a group of mages seeking to advance magical research. During the meetings, Noah and his team worked to forge partnerships, offering resources from the fortress, such as training materials, security details, and research facilities. "We believe that by supporting each other, we can achieve much more than we could alone," Noah explained to the gathered leaders. The Merchants of Dawn and the Shieldbearers were receptive to Noah's proposals, seeing the benefits of aligning with his powerful network. Agreements were made to integrate their operations with the fortress's activities, allowing for shared profits and enhanced security measures.
However, the meeting with the Arcanist Circle proved more challenging.
Their leader, a formidable mage named Calum, expressed skepticism about Noah's intentions.
Your fortress has become a center of power, Calum argued.
How do we know that this power won't be used to overshadow smaller guilds like ours? Noah acknowledged his concerns with a nod.
I understand your fears. It's not our intention to overshadow or control.
Let's establish a council within the guilds, including the Arcanist Circle, to ensure that all voices are heard and that power remains balanced.
Calum was hesitant but intrigued by the proposal. A council could work, but it must have real authority, he stipulated.
We will participate on the condition that it has the power to influence decisions, not just discuss them. Agreeing to these terms, Noah and Calum drafted a charter for the new council, which would play a crucial role in mediating between various interests and ensuring that the network remained equitable. As these alliances and rivalries continued to evolve, Noah found himself increasingly in the role of a diplomat and peacemaker. Each decision had to be carefully weighed for its impact on the delicate ecosystem of guilds and communities he was striving to unify. Reflecting on these developments, Noah realized that his vision for a unified Aeonis was becoming more complex and challenging than he had anticipated. The emergence of new guilds and the shifting allegiances required a nimble and thoughtful approach to leadership, one that balanced ambition with empathy and power with responsibility. As the political landscape continued to shift, Noah, prepared for the inevitable challenges ahead, determined to navigate them with wisdom and integrity.
The future of Aeonis depended not just on the strength of its heroes, but on their ability to inspire trust and cooperation among its people.
As new guilds formed and old alliances were tested, the political landscape of Aeonis became increasingly intricate. Noah, keenly aware of the delicate balance necessary to maintain unity, found himself playing a deeper game of strategy and diplomacy. The rivalries that had begun to emerge not only challenged his leadership, but also threatened to fragment the hard-won unity among the communities of Aeonis. In the wake of the council's formation, which had temporarily assuaged fears of Noah's overwhelming influence, a covert opposition began to crystallize. This group, a coalition of smaller guilds led by a cunning strategist named Varen, did not openly challenge Noah, but instead worked in the shadows to undermine his efforts. Their tactics included spreading misinformation about Noah's intentions and sowing discord among allied guilds through subtle provocations. Aware of these undercurrents, Noah convened a private meeting with his closest advisors in the fortress's secure war room. The atmosphere was tense, as reports of the opposition's activities had just been confirmed by Lyra's intelligence network.
We need to address this covert opposition strategically. Noah began, his expression serious.
If left unchecked, they could erode the trust we've worked so hard to build. We must counter their misinformation with transparency and their provocations with unity. Mira, ever the tactician, suggested a proactive approach. We could organize a series of public forums in the territories where Varen's influence is strongest. By engaging directly with the communities there, we can dispel the rumors and showcase the tangible benefits of our alliance. Bren, focusing on security, added, we should also strengthen our intelligence efforts. Understanding Varen's next moves will allow us to be steps ahead.
Perhaps we could even turn some of his tactics back on him, using them to expose his deceptions. Noah nodded in agreement, impressed with their insights.
Both approaches are necessary. Mira, coordinate with Lyra to set up the forums. Bren, work with Elia to enhance our surveillance and information gathering capabilities. We need to be meticulous and measured in our responses. As the plans were set into motion, Noah reached out to Calum of the Arcanist Circle, seeking to solidify their fragile alliance. In a private meeting, Noah shared his concerns about the growing undercurrents of opposition. Calum, your voice could be influential in swaying the undecided. Your guild's commitment to knowledge and truth could help counter the falsehoods being spread by our adversaries, Noah proposed, hoping to engage the mage's sense of integrity. Calum, wary but wise, saw the logic in Noah's request. I am no friend to deceit.
We will stand with you in promoting transparency and truth.
But remember, our support is contingent on the Council's pacted and upheld. With Calem's cautious assurance of support, Noah felt a slight easing of the tension that had gripped him. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Public forums were held, where Noah and his team openly discussed their objectives, listened to community concerns, and adjusted their strategies in real time to address emerging issues. Meanwhile, Bren and Elia, using a blend of traditional surveillance and magical scrying techniques, managed to intercept messages that revealed part of Varen's plan to disrupt an upcoming major trade agreement, intended to economically bind several key communities to Noah's alliance.
Armed with this information, Noah orchestrated a carefully timed expose during one of the public forums, revealing Varen's plans and highlighting the detrimental impact they would have on the communities. The revelation was a turning point, swaying public opinion strongly in favor of Noah's transparent governance style and against Varen's divisive tactics.
In the wake of the political maneuvers and the stabilization of alliances within Aeonis, Noah's focus unexpectedly shifted back to the realm of direct action.
Reports began to surface of strange and dangerous anomalies within the wildlife of Aeonis, creatures, suddenly exhibiting corrupted behaviors and unnatural abilities. These creatures, once harmless or avoidable, started attacking settlements, causing both fear and destruction.
Gathering his team in the command center of the fortress, Noah laid out the urgency of the situation. These aren't just random incidents. The creatures are exhibiting signs of deep corruption, almost as if they're being influenced by a malevolent force.
This could be another trial mentioned in the prophecy, or perhaps something worse. Elia, concerned, suggested we should investigate these occurrences at their source.
If there's a pattern or a cause, we need to find it before more damage is done. Noah agreed, deciding to lead a reconnaissance mission into the densest part of the Emerald Forest where the first attacks had been reported.
Armed with their usual gear enhanced by magical protections Elia had devised, the team set out at dawn.
As they ventured deeper into the forest, the signs of corruption became more evident.
Plants were withered in unnatural patterns, and the air was thick with a foul mist that seemed to whisper with a voice of its own.
They soon encountered their first corrupted creature, a massive bear with eyes glowing an eerie red and veins that pulsed with dark energy. Bren, taking the lead, cautiously approached the creature, trying to gauge its awareness and intentions.
But before he could react, the bear charged, driven by a rage that was clearly unnatural.
The team sprang into action, with Noah using his Calm Beast spell to try to soothe the enraged animal. Surprisingly, the spell had little effect, a deviation from his expectations based on past experiences.
We need to subdue it without causing harm, Noah instructed, dodging another charge.
Mira, quick on her feet, deployed a net of light magic which entangled the bear long enough for Noah to apply a more potent tranquilizing spell. With the bear temporarily incapacitated, the team collected samples of its blood and tissue, noting the dark tar-like substance mixed with its bloodstream.
This corruption is like nothing I've seen, Elia noted, her expression grave.
It's almost like a virus, but magical in nature. The team cautiously continued their exploration, encountering more corrupted creatures, each more aggressive and mutated than the last.
It was clear that whatever was affecting the forest was widespread and deeply ingrained.
Realizing the need for more expertise, Noah sent an urgent message back to the fortress, requesting that Calem and his Arcanists' circle come to the forest to help analyze the corruption. Within hours, Calem arrived, bringing instruments and magical sensors designed to track and analyze magical anomalies. Working together, they traced the source of the corruption to an ancient ruin deep in the heart of the forest, previously hidden by enchantments and overgrowth.
This place. I've read about it, Calem said, consulting an old tome he had brought along.
It's said to be a sealed gateway to a dark realm, used centuries ago by a coalition of mages to banish malevolent energies. The discovery was alarming, suggesting that the seal on the gateway might be weakening or worse, being tampered with. Noah and his team, along with Calem, prepared to investigate the ruin, knowing that the solution to stopping the corruption likely lay within. As they approached the ominous structure, the air grew colder, and the whispers in the mist became more insistent, as if warning them back. But with the lives of many at stake, retreat was not an option. Standing before the ancient ruins that housed the gateway, Noah and his assembled team, along with Calum and his mages, prepared to confront whatever force was unleashing the corruption upon Aeonis. The air around the ruin was thick with a palpable darkness that seemed to suck the light from their torches, casting elongated shadows across the crumbling stones.
"This place reeks of old magic," Calum whispered, his staff glowing faintly as he cast protective spells around the group. "The seal we're looking for must be inside. We'll need to be extremely cautious. Ancient seals are often protected by complex wards and guardians."
Noah nodded, taking the lead as they entered the ruin.
Inside, the air was cooler, and the darkness seemed to press against them from all sides.
The corridors of the ruin were lined with bas-reliefs depicting the ancient mages, who had once banished the malevolent energies to this dark realm. The path led them deeper underground, where the true nature of the seal and the corruption it held at bay would be revealed. As they descended, the first of the guardians appeared, a statue of a hooded figure that animated as they approached, its eyes glowing with the same eerie red light as the corrupted creatures in the forest.
"Stand back!"
Noah called out, drawing his sword, which was imbued with light magic. With practiced precision, he engaged the guardian, which moved with a speed that belied its stone form. The battle was fierce but brief as Mira joined in, her own weapons enhanced by Calum's arcane buffs. With the guardian subdued, they advanced to the chamber that housed the seal, vast circular room with a domed ceiling, at the center of which lay a dark swirling vortex, held in check by a lattice of glowing runes.
"It's worse than I feared," Calum said, his voice tense.
"The seal is deteriorating, and it looks like someone has been tampering with it intentionally."
Examining the runes, Elia added, "These aren't just deteriorating. They're being corrupted from within. Whatever was sealed is trying to break free."
Noah approached the seal, feeling the malevolent energy pulsing from the vortex.
He knew they needed to act quickly to reinforce the seal and purge the corruption before it became too powerful to contain.
"Let's form a circle," he instructed, directing his team and Calum's mages to surround the seal. Together they began a complex ritual to cleanse and reinforce the seal, each member channeling their energy into the restoration effort.
The process was exhausting, pushing each of them to their magical limits.
As they worked, the vortex fought back, sending waves of dark energy to break their concentration and resolve. But the combined strength of Noah's team and the arc in his circle was formidable, and slowly the corruption began to recede, the runes brightening as their power was restored.
After what seemed like hours, the final incantation was spoken, and the seal snapped back into place, the vortex settling into a calm, contained glow. "We've done it," Noah breathed, relief washing over him.
But this was too close. "We need to investigate who is behind this and why they want to unleash such darkness." Calum agreed, his expression grave.
"This isn't over, Noah."
Whoever tampered with this seal knew exactly what they were doing. This was a calculated attempt to unleash chaos. As they made their way out of the ruins, the weight of their discovery hung over them. The threat had been temporarily averted, but the presence of a nefarious force working against them marked a significant escalation in their challenges. After confronting the immediate threat posed by the corrupted seal and stabilizing the ancient ruins, Noah turned his attention to a broader vision for peace and cooperation across Aeonis. His new initiative, the Alliance of the Ethnics, aimed to bring together the diverse ethnic groups of Aeonis, some of whom had long-standing disputes and tensions.
Noah believes that by fostering dialogue and understanding among these groups, they could build a more unified and peaceful region.
The initial step in this ambitious project was to organize a series of diplomatic meetings, inviting leaders from the various ethnic communities to the fortress. Noah knew that for the alliance to be successful, it would require not only his diplomatic skills, but also a deep understanding of the histories and cultures of each group. Each community has its own unique perspective in history, Noah explained to his team as they prepared for the first round of meetings. Our goal is to listen, learn, and find common ground.
We must respect their traditions and seek ways to integrate them into our broader alliance. without diminishing their cultural identity.
The first meeting brought together representatives from the highland clans, the river folk, and the desert nomads, three of the most distinct and historically isolated groups within Aeonis. Each group had unique needs and concerns, from territorial disputes to water rights and trade access. As the leaders gathered in the council room, Noah opened the meeting with a warm welcome, emphasizing his commitment to mutual respect and cooperation.
Today marks the beginning of what I hope will be a transformative journey for all of us, he began. Together, we have the opportunity to create a legacy of peace and prosperity that can be passed down to future generations.
The discussions that followed were intense and occasionally contentious. The highland clans were particularly concerned about losing their ancestral lands to expanding communities, while the river folk needed assurance that their waterways would not be overexploited by their upriver neighbors. The desert nomads sought better access to trade routes that had been traditionally controlled by the other two groups. Noah listened attentively to each leader, acknowledging their concerns and gently guiding the discussion towards possible solutions. Using his cultural insight skill, he drew upon his extensive knowledge of each group's customs and histories to propose compromises that honored their traditions while addressing their practical concerns. For instance, he suggested the creation of a joint council to manage the water resources, which would include members from all communities affected by the river. For the highland clans, he proposed a series of cultural exchanges and joint festivals that would bring tourism and economic benefits to their region without compromising their territorial rights. As the meeting progressed, the initial skepticism gave way to a cautious optimism. The leaders began to see the potential benefits of cooperation, and while all issues were resolved in this first meeting, a framework for ongoing dialogue was established. At the end of the day, as the leaders shared a meal in the fortress's great hall, the atmosphere was noticeably lighter.
Stories and laughter were exchanged, and Noah could see the beginnings of friendships forming among former rivals.
Reflecting on the day's progress, Noah felt a profound sense of accomplishment and hope.
Today, we've taken a crucial step towards unity, he told his team.
But this is just the beginning. We must continue to foster these relationships, support these dialogues, and ensure that the alliance of the ethnics becomes a cornerstone of peace in Aeonis. Building on the successful initial meetings of the alliance of the ethnics, Noah dedicated himself to deepening the bonds formed between the diverse communities. Recognizing that lasting peace required not only diplomatic agreements, but also tangible benefits to all parties involved, he shifted his focus towards creating economic partnerships that would underpin the cultural and political alliances. As part of this new focus, Noah organized a second series of meetings, this time centering on economic development and joint ventures that could benefit multiple ethnic groups simultaneously.
Our goal here is to create projects that are not only profitable but also equitable, Noah explained to his council.
We want every community to see the tangible benefits of this alliance. The projects proposed included a regional marketplace where goods from the highland clans, river folk, and desert nomads could be traded freely under fair and regulated terms.
Another proposal was a collaborative agricultural initiative that would use the unique resources of each area to boost food production and sustainability.
Aeonis was tasked with overseeing the environmental impact of these projects, ensuring that they adhered to sustainable practices that would protect Aeonis's diverse ecosystems.
Meanwhile, Mira spearheaded the security planning, setting up protocols that would safeguard the trade routes and markets from bandits and other threats.
As the representatives of each ethnic group gathered once again at the fortress, Noah opened the discussions with a presentation of the proposed projects, highlighting how each was designed to ensure mutual benefit.
These initiatives are the bricks and mortar with which we will build our shared future, he stated, inviting each leader to provide feedback and suggest amendments.
The river folk representative, a shrewd merchant named Tali, was particularly interested in the regional marketplace idea. This could provide our people with access to goods we cannot produce ourselves and offer us a larger market for our river crops, she noted, endorsing the project with cautious optimism.
However, the highland clans were initially wary, concerned about the impact of increased trade on their traditional ways of life.
To address these concerns, Noah proposed the establishment of a cultural preservation fund, financed by a percentage of marketplace profits, which would be dedicated to maintaining and promoting highland traditions. The desert nomads, led by a charismatic leader named Jarek, were enthusiastic about the agricultural initiative, seeing it as an opportunity to improve their food security and reduce their dependence on seasonal migrations.
If we can stabilize our food supply, it frees us up to focus on other areas of development, Jarek commented, lending his strong support.
The discussions were detailed and at times complex as each leader looked to negotiate terms that would best benefit their people. Noah facilitated these discussions with a keen sense of equity, ensuring that no group felt marginalized or exploited. After several days of negotiations, agreements were reached on both the marketplace and the agricultural initiative. Contracts were signed, and plans were put in motion to start the projects, with each community contributing resources and expertise. The successful conclusion of these negotiations marked a significant milestone for the Alliance of the Ethnics. Not only had Noah managed to bring these diverse groups together, but he had also helped them find common economic interests that would provide ongoing incentives to maintain and strengthen their alliances. As the leaders departed from the fortress, there was a palpable sense of achievement and anticipation about the future.
Noah watched them leave, feeling hopeful. "We've laid down the economic foundations today," he mused to his team.
Now we must ensure these projects succeed and truly bring the prosperity and stability we promised. With the foundational agreements in place for the regional marketplace and collaborative agricultural initiatives, Noah's vision for a unified and prosperous Aeonis began to materialize.
However, he understood that the initial success of these agreements was just the beginning.
Sustaining the harmony and cooperation between the diverse ethnic groups required ongoing effort and the ability to address new challenges as they arose. As part of his commitment to sustain the newfound unity, Noah planned a series of follow-up sessions that would not only monitor the progress of the joint ventures, but also allow for adjustments based on feedback from all involved parties.
He saw these sessions as essential for maintaining transparency and trust among the groups, ensuring that no community felt left behind or unfairly treated. "Let's set up a quarterly review process," Noah proposed to his team and the leaders of the ethnic groups during a video conference.
This will allow us to assess the impact of our projects, address any concerns, and make necessary adjustments.
"We need to be agile and responsive to ensure that these initiatives benefit everyone equally." Elliot took charge of setting up an environmental monitoring system that would track the ecological impacts of the agricultural projects, ensuring that the increased production did not lead to degradation of the lands.
Her team installed sensors and employed local environmental experts to oversee the sustainability of the practices being implemented. Meanwhile, Mira focused on security enhancements for the regional marketplace. She organized a coalition of guards from each ethnic group, promoting a sense of shared responsibility for the safety and success of the market. Training sessions led by Bren were held to ensure that the guards could effectively work together despite their diverse backgrounds. As the first quarterly review session approached, Noah prepared a comprehensive report that included economic data, security updates, and environmental impacts. He invited all ethnic leaders to the fortress where they would discuss the findings and share their feedback. During the session, Tally from the Riverfolk praised the economic benefits of the marketplace, but raised concerns about the transportation costs that her community was bearing disproportionately. Noah listened attentively and promised to look into subsidizing these costs or finding alternative solutions that would alleviate the financial burden on the Riverfolk. Jarek of the Desert Nomads expressed satisfaction with the agricultural projects, but noted a need for more advanced training for his people to fully benefit from the new farming techniques. Noah acknowledged this and committed to expanding the training programs involving more experts from the agricultural sector. The Highland clans, represented by their elder Morven, shared a positive update on the Cultural Preservation Fund, but requested more visibility and involvement in the marketplace to promote their artisan crafts. Noah saw the validity in this request and proposed a special monthly event at the marketplace that would showcase cultural products from various groups, starting with the Highland clans. By the end of the meeting, each leader had contributed valuable insights and received assurances that their concerns would be addressed. Noah's proactive approach and open communication helped reinforce the trust and commitment among the groups, proving that the alliance was not just beneficial, but also adaptable to their evolving needs. As the leaders departed, they expressed a renewed sense of partnership and gratitude for Noah's leadership. Back at the fortress, Noah reflected on the day's achievements with his team. Today, we've not only reviewed our progress, but strengthened our bonds. These discussions are crucial for the enduring success of our alliance.
Let's continue to be as open and responsive as we have been today.
After months of stabilizing alliances and fostering growth among the diverse communities at Aeonis, a new and unexpected challenge presented itself to Noah. During a routine excavation near the fortress meant to expand their agricultural project.
Sensing the magical aura emanating from the object, they immediately alerted Noah.
Gathering his team, Noah approached the site with a mix of curiosity and caution. The artifact, partially uncovered, gleamed with an inner light that pulsed rhythmically as if beating with a heart of its own. Noah recognized the energy signature. It was remarkably similar to that of the Chrono Shard, a relic he had encountered in his earlier adventures, piece of a powerful artifact, capable of manipulating time itself. Be careful, Noah instructed as they began to carefully excavate the artifact. Using his temporal sensitivity skill, he assessed the artifact's stability and potential dangers.
This shard might be unstable. We need to ensure it's safely contained before we attempt to move it.
With the artifact fully unearthed, Noah and his team transported it to a specially prepared containment chamber within the fortress.
There they could study it safely, away from any potential harm it might cause to the surroundings.
Inside the chamber, Noah and Callum, who had been invited to assist, given his expertise in arcane energies, began a detailed examination of the shard. The artifact was indeed another piece of the Chrono Shard, confirmed by its unique energy patterns and ancient inscriptions that matched those on the shard Noah had previously encountered.
The Chrono Shard is said to have the power to manipulate the fabric of time, Callum explained, his eyes wide, with both excitement and concern. With another piece of it, we might be able to unlock further abilities, perhaps even enough to explore sending you back to your original time, Noah.
The possibility of returning to his original time struck Noah with a mixture of hope and hesitation. While the thought of seeing his own world again was deeply appealing, he had built a life here in Aeonis with responsibilities and people he cared about.
To even consider such a thing, we need to understand exactly how the shard's powers work and what the consequences might be, Noah said thoughtfully. A misstep could have repercussions not just for me, but for all of Aeonis.
Deciding to proceed with caution, Noah organized a series of controlled experiments with the shard. They started with small, inconsequential manipulations of time, briefly rewinding the movement of a clock's hands, for example. Each experiment was meticulously logged and monitored for unexpected outcomes.
As their understanding of the shard grew, so did their control over its powers. However, with each success, the reality of what achieving his potential return could mean became clear. Noah found himself torn between his desire to return home and his duty to the world that had become his new home. To help me decide, I need to see more, Noah resolved. Let's prepare for a more significant test.
We'll attempt to rewind a single day.
If we can manage that without harm, then perhaps we can consider the possibility of going further.
The team agreed, though the weight of their task hung heavily on them all. Preparations began for the most ambitious experiment yet. The preparations for the significant test of the Chrono Shard's powers were meticulous and intense. Noah and his team had decided that their experiment would take place in a controlled environment within the fortress, in a specially designed chamber that could withstand potential temporal anomalies. As the day of the test approached, the tension within the team was palpable. The outcomes of this experiment could fundamentally alter the course of their lives.
Noah, are you sure you want to proceed with this? Ilya asked, concern etching her face as they checked the last of the preparations.
The risks are considerable. Noah nodded, his expression resolute yet calm.
I know, Ilya. but the potential to understand not just this shard but also the broader implications of its power compels us to proceed.
We need to know if returning to my time could truly be an option, if it's just a dream.
The experiment was set for early morning.
The team gathered in the observation room adjacent to the test chamber, where the Chrono Shard had been placed on a pedestal, surrounded by an array of sensors and magical sigils designed to monitor and contain its energy. Calum, who had been instrumental in setting up the containment protocols, briefed everyone once more.
If anything unexpected happens, I'll shut down the experiment immediately.
Our priority is everyone's safety. As the clock struck the designated hour, Noah initiated the experiment. He activated the shard, focusing his energy through it, guiding the temporal forces with his will. The air in the chamber shimmered, and for a moment, time itself seemed to hesitate.
Outside, the team watched with bated breath as the clocks they had set up as markers began to rewind. Slowly at first, then picking up speed, the hands moved backward, undoing the last 24 hours in a matter of minutes.
The process was smoother than Noah had anticipated, and no immediate adverse effects appeared.
However, just as he was about to declare the experiment a success, a sudden surge of energy pulsed from the shard.
The containment fields flickered as they strained under the unexpected load.
Calum,
Noah shouted over the commotion. "I'm on it."
Calum responded, his fingers moving quickly over the runic controls.
He managed to stabilize the energy, but the fluctuation was a stark reminder of the unpredictability and power they were dealing with. After the experiment, the team conducted a thorough check of all systems in the fortress itself. Remarkably, everything remained intact, and there were no temporal distortions in the surrounding areas.
The test was successful, technically, Noah said during their debriefing.
We managed to rewind time by a day within the chamber without broader repercussions. But the surge at the end, it worries me.
We were lucky to contain it.
The results led to a long discussion about the feasibility and morality of using the Chrono Shard to attempt a return to Noah's original time.
While the possibility was tantalizing, the risks were profound. We may have the power to change time, but should we?
Mira posed the crucial question.
The consequences could extend far beyond what we've seen today.
The team agreed that more research was needed before making any decisions about using the shard on a larger scale. Noah, though torn by his desires and responsibilities, acknowledged the wisdom in proceeding with caution.
Let's continue our studies, he decided. We need to fully understand this power before we can even consider taking such a step.
For now, the shard will remain here under strict containment. After the intensive experiments with the Chrono Shard, Noah decided to turn his focus towards personal growth and development. He recognized the importance of enhancing his own skills to better lead and protect Aeonis, particularly by integrating the diverse magical practices and cultural techniques he had encountered through his alliances.
One specific area he chose to enhance was his archery, aiming to infuse it with magical elements from the various cultures within Aeonis.
Noah began his journey of mastery by consulting with Calum, who had extensive knowledge of arcane arts. Calum, I want to explore how we can combine traditional archery with magic. Not just enhancing arrows with spells, but weaving magic into the very essence of archery, Noah explained during their meeting in the fortress's library. Calum was intrigued by the idea.
That's a fascinating concept, Noah.
We could look into the enchantment techniques used by the desert nomads and the elemental infusions practiced by the river folk. Combining these could create something entirely unique. With Calum's guidance, Noah started his training by learning the basic enchantment spells from the nomads. Their technique involved chanting specific incantations that bound protective spells directly to objects, making them durable and occasionally giving them unique properties like flame resistance or minor sentience. Simultaneously, Noah worked with a river folk mage named Lyra, who taught him how to channel elemental energies. Lyra's teachings focused on understanding and manipulating the natural elements around them, drawing strength from the earth, the fluidity from water, the ferocity from fire, and the agility from air. Armed with new knowledge, Noah began experimenting with his bow and arrows. He spent hours in the training field behind the fortress, practicing under the watchful eyes of Calum and Lyra. He learned to imbue his arrows with elemental energies, creating arrows that could freeze, burn, or shock upon impact. One day, while practicing, Noah managed to successfully combine an enchantment with elemental infusion. He fired an arrow that not only flew faster and straighter thanks to the air elemental infusion, but also had a protective charm that would return it to his quiver after hitting a target.
"This is it. This is what I was aiming for," Noah exclaimed, pleased with the successful integration of the techniques. Calum nodded in approval, while Lyra clapped her hands in delight.
Encouraged by his progress, Noah decided to demonstrate his new skills to his team and the leaders of the ethnic groups at a special event. The demonstration was not just about showcasing his skills, but also about inspiring others to think creatively about how they could adapt and merge their own traditions and practices. On the day of the demonstration, Noah stood before a gathered crowd in the fortress's courtyard, filled with both his allies and curious onlookers from various communities. He explained the process behind each shot before performing it, highlighting the collaboration between the different cultures that made it possible. With each arrow shot, the crowd was amazed by the display of magically enhanced archery, zigzagging to hit, moving targets, splitting into multiple projectiles, or bursting into spectacular elemental effects on impact. The demonstration was a resounding success, and it sparked a lively discussion among the attendees about other possible cultural integrations. Leaders from various groups approached Noah with ideas for further collaboration, excited by the potential of such innovations. As the day concluded, Noah felt a deep satisfaction not only in mastering new skills, but in fostering a spirit of unity and innovation.
Today was about more than just archery, he told the crowd. It was about the power of learning from each other and building something greater than the sum of our parts.
Following the successful demonstration of his newly acquired magical archery skills, Noah continued to deepen his mastery, inspired by the enthusiastic response from the community. He recognized that his journey of skill enhancement could serve as a catalyst for broader cultural exchange and innovation within Aeonis. Eager to expand on this idea, Noah decided to organize a workshop series titled The Convergence of Craft and Power, which aimed to explore the integration of various skills across different domains, not limited to combat or magic. The first workshop was designed to be a collaborative effort, bringing together craftsmen, mages, and warriors. Noah's plan was to create an environment where participants could learn from each other and explore new ways to combine their skills. He reached out to experts within the Alliance, blacksmiths from the Highland clans, known for their exquisite metalwork, riverfolk alchemists expert in potion making, and desert nomad enchanters with their deep knowledge of magical inscriptions.
The workshops took place over several days at the fortress, with spaces designated for different crafts.
One of the most popular sessions was led by Noah himself, who taught participants how to infuse elemental magic into everyday objects, not just weapons.
For example, he demonstrated how to enchant a blacksmith's hammer to never miss a strike or a pot that could heat its contents without a fire.
As Noah walked through the workshop spaces, he was pleased to see the vibrant exchange of ideas and techniques. A young blacksmith from the Highland clans was particularly captivated by the potential for magical tools. She worked alongside a desert nomad enchanter to create a set of chisels that could cut through the hardest stone as if it were clay. "Look at this, Noah," she exclaimed during his visit to her station, showing off a newly crafted chisel.
"Imagine what we can build with tools like these." Noah smiled, thrilled by her enthusiasm. "This is exactly why we started these workshops. Your creativity is unlocking possibilities we've never even considered."
Meanwhile, in another corner of the workshop, a group of riverfolk alchemists and warriors were brainstorming ways to use alchemical mixtures to enhance physical abilities without the long-term side effects often associated with such potions.
They developed a prototype of a stamina-enhancing drink that used natural herbs found along the riverbanks, which was both effective and safe for frequent use.
The workshop not only fostered innovation, but also strengthened communal bonds. Participants left with new skills, new friends, and a renewed sense of what could be achieved when diverse cultures and disciplines intersected. At the end of the workshop series, Noah organized a showcase where participants could display their creations and share their learning experiences with the broader community. The event was a festive affair, with demonstrations and interactive stations where visitors could try their hand at everything from enchanted weaving to potion brewing. Reflecting on the success of the workshops, Noah felt a profound sense of achievement. "We've started something wonderful here," he told his team as they reviewed feedback from participants and visitors. "Let's make this an annual event, and each year we can focus on different themes or skills." Motivated by the success of the initial workshop series, Noah embarked on his next project, the Loom of Legacy, which aimed to interweave the cultural fabrics of Aeonis into a collective heritage that could be shared and celebrated by all.
This new initiative focused on combining traditional crafts with the magical skills taught in the previous workshops, particularly targeting the artistic and cultural preservation aspects of each ethnic group.
Noah envisioned this project not only as a skill enhancement program, but as a way to create a lasting legacy of Aeonis's cultural diversity. He consulted with historians, artisans, and magicians from various communities to design a curriculum that included textile weaving, pottery, traditional painting, and music, all infused with elemental magic. As the project commenced, artisans from the Highland clans introduced techniques for weaving tartans that incorporated threads imbued with elemental properties, making them change colors with the seasons. Desert nomad potters demonstrated how to infuse clay with air magic to create pottery that was nearly weightless, while riverfolk painters used water-infused dyes that flowed on canvas to create ever-changing landscapes. Each session of the Loom of Legacy was held at a different location within the Alliance, hosted by local artisans and attended by Noah and his team, along with interested individuals from other communities. These sessions became a traveling celebration of culture and innovation, drawing large crowds and fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation among the diverse populations of Aeonis.
During one memorable session, a group of riverfolk musicians teamed up with a desert nomad mage, specializing in sound magic.
Together, they created a series of flutes and stringed instruments that could be played by the natural forces of wind and water, creating harmonies that echoed the natural symphony of Aeonis itself. This collaboration not only showcased the unity of art and magic, but also symbolized the harmony between the diverse communities. Noah, observing the joy and wonder on the faces of the participants and spectators, felt a profound connection to the project.
This, he shared with Calum as they watched a performance, is what true legacy looks like.
"It's not just in the skills we teach, but in the bridges we build between hearts and cultures." The culmination of the Loom of Legacy project was a grand festival held at Noah's fortress, where all the artworks, crafts, and performances were displayed and celebrated. The festival attracted not only the inhabitants of Aeonis, but also travelers from distant lands, drawn by the stories of a place where magic and culture wove together to create something magnificent. At the festival, Noah inaugurated a permanent exhibition hall within the fortress, where the products of the Loom of Legacy workshops would be on continuous display, serving as a testament to the collaborative spirit of Aeonis. This hall, named the Gallery of Harmonies, quickly became a popular attraction, symbolizing the unity and shared heritage of the region. Reflecting on the impact of the Loom of Legacy, Noah realized how far they had come from the days of solitary quests and simple alliances. Now they were truly a community, diverse yet unified, with a shared commitment to fostering peace and prosperity through the celebration of each other's cultures. This project Noah mused to his team as they planned for future expansions of the Gallery of Harmonies, has woven a tapestry that will cover all of Aeonis with warmth and color.
Let's continue to add to it, ensuring that this legacy lasts for generations.
As Noah's initiatives continued to weave together the diverse communities of Aeonis, an unexpected challenge emerged that threatened to unravel the fabric of trust and progress he had so diligently built. A mysterious figure, cloaked in anonymity, issued a direct challenge to Noah, duel, that hinted at deep knowledge, not only of Noah's true origins, but also of the Chrono Shard's existence and powers. The challenge arrived at the fortress one cool evening, delivered by a hooded messenger who refused to reveal their identity.
The message was concise: meet at the ancient crossroads at midnight.
Come alone, Noah, if you seek truths about your past and future.
Noah, though wary of the obvious risks, felt compelled to accept the challenge.
The mention of the Chrono Shard and his identity suggested that whoever this was, they held information that could be crucial not only to his personal quest, but potentially to the safety of Aeonis itself. Before heading to the location, Noah consulted with Calum.
I need to face this, but I must be prepared for any trickery or trap. This duel could be about more than just combat.
It might be a test, a lure.
Calum agreed, advising Noah to take precautions. I'll prepare a few protective enchantments for you, he offered, his expression tinged with concern. And though you must go alone, I'll be nearby just in case.
Armed with enchanted gear and his own burgeoning skills, Noah approached the ancient crossroads, place steeped in legends, where the veils between realities were said to be thin. As the moon reached its zenith, the mysterious challenger appeared, stepping out of the shadows with a grace that spoke of formidable prowess.
The figure was masked, revealing nothing of their identity, their voice modulated to prevent recognition.
Noah, you become quite the hero of Aeonis. But how much do you truly understand about the Chrono Shard or even your existence here?
Noah stood his ground, his bow at the ready, but his mind racing. I understand enough to know that the shard's power is not to be wielded lightly. Why challenge me like this?
What is it you seek?
The challenger's laugh was cold, a sound that seemed to chill the very air.
I seek what you seek, understanding.
But I also seek to warn you. The shard is more than a tool. It's a gateway, and some doors, once opened, can never be closed.
The duel began not with swords or arrows, but with a battle of wills and magic. The challenger wielded powers that seemed eerily familiar to Noah, manipulating shadows and time in ways that echoed the abilities of the Chrono Shard. Each move and countermove was a test, a lesson wrapped in conflict. As the duel escalated, Noah realized that he was not just fighting an opponent, he was fighting a mirror of possibilities, teaching him more about his own capabilities and the deeper powers of the Chrono Shard.
The challenger pushed Noah to the limits of his skills, forcing him to adapt and evolve with each passing moment.
Finally, as dawn began to break, the challengers ceased their assault, stepping back with a gesture of respect. You have learned much, Noah. Perhaps enough to survive what's coming?
Remember, the shard is not the end of your journey, but a path to deeper truths.
With that, the figure vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared, leaving Noah alone at the crossroads, with more questions than answers. The duel had not only been a physical challenge, but a profound encounter with the mystical and dangerous aspects of the Chrono Shard.
Returning to the fortress, Noah was introspective, his thoughts heavy with the weight of his encounter.
He shared the experience with Calum, who listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought.
This was no ordinary duel, Noah. This was a message, a sign that your journey with the Chrono Shard is far from over.
In the days following the mysterious duel, Noah found himself deeply troubled by the implications of his encounter.
The identity of his opponent remained shrouded in secrecy, and the cryptic warnings about the Chrono Shard had ignited a host of new questions about his own role in Aeonis and the true nature of the artifact's power.
Determined to seek answers, Noah initiated a series of deep investigative efforts into the origins of the Chrono Shard and its connection to the fabric of time itself. Noah convened a meeting with his closest advisors and allies in the fortress's strategy room. The air was tense with anticipation as he laid out his plan. We need to understand who challenged me and why. This means delving deeper into the Shard's history and possibly uncovering secrets that have been hidden since before our time. Noah explained, his voice steady, but filled with a resolve that resonated through the room. Elia, always insightful, suggested they start with the ancient texts stored in the fortress's library. There may be records or legends that were overlooked in our previous studies. Anything related to time manipulation or historical anomalies could give us a clue. Calum, intrigued by the magical implications, proposed a more direct approach. I think we should also re-examine the shard itself.
There might be residual energies or hidden properties that were activated during your duel.
With the right techniques, we might be able to trace them back to their source. With a plan of action in place, Noah and his team split up to tackle the different tasks. Noah and Calum focused on the Chrono Shard, setting up a controlled environment to test and analyze the artifact using a combination of arcane instruments and magical spells. During one of their sessions, Noah noticed a pattern in the energy fluctuations of the shard that seemed to correspond with historical events of great significance within Aeonis. "Look at this, Calum," Noah pointed out, tracing the line of energy peaks on a graph. Each peak here aligns with a major event: the fall of the Old Kingdom, the Great Fire, the Unification Wars. It's as if the shard is not just reacting to these events, but was somehow involved. Calum, deeply fascinated, adjusted his spectacles as he examined the findings.
That's extraordinary.
It suggests that the shard could be a sort of historical anchor, influencing or stabilizing the flow of time around pivotal moments. Meanwhile, Elia and the research team combed through ancient manuscripts and obscure scholarly works, uncovering a forgotten legend about a mirror of futures, a mystical artifact believed to show potential outcomes of one's decisions. This could be related to the Chrono Shard, Elia mused, connecting the dots.
Perhaps the shard doesn't just affect time, also explores different possibilities, different paths that history could take.
Armed with this new information, Noah convened another meeting to discuss their findings. The team debated the implications, considering how this might relate to the mysterious challenger and their knowledge of Noah's identity.
It's possible that this person knows how to manipulate the shard's power to explore or even create alternate realities, Noah theorized. They might be using the shard to try and change or prevent certain outcomes they deem unfavorable.
The realization that the Chrono Shard could be a tool for altering realities added a weighty dimension to their quest. Noah decided that their next steps would involve not just further study of the shard, but also preparations for potential interventions by others who might seek to use its power.
As we continue our research, we must also be vigilant, Noah declared, setting the tone for the coming days. We're dealing not just with history or magic here, but with the very essence of destiny itself. We need to be ready for whatever comes next for whoever might come seeking the shard.
The revelations about the Chrono Shard's deep ties to the historical fabric of Aeonis propelled Noah into a new phase of his quest. Realizing the potential for the artifact to alter realities or influence major historical outcomes, Noah felt an urgent need to safeguard the shard from misuse, especially from those like his mysterious challenger, who seemed to possess understanding of its capabilities. To better understand the threat and the identity of the challenger, Noah decided to retrace the steps leading up to the duel. He revisited the ancient crossroads where the duel took place, hoping to find any residual magical traces or clues left behind. Accompanied by Calum and a small team equipped with various arcane sensors and detection spells, Noah examined the site. Calum conducted a series of complex incantations that revealed faint traces of temporal magic similar, but distinctively different from those produced by the Chrono Shard.
These traces, they're sophisticated and precise, Calum noted, analyzing the patterns that shimmered in the air briefly before fading. Whoever your challenger is, Noah, they have a mastery of time magic that rivals even the most knowledgeable mages I've known. This discovery was unsettling but also enlightening.
It confirmed Noah's suspicions that the challenger was not merely a rogue adventurer, but potentially someone with a deep historical and magical knowledge, possibly even someone from the same era or reality as Noah himself. Determined to glean more insights, Noah organized a council meeting to discuss their defensive strategies and how they could prevent any attempts to steal or manipulate the Chrono Shard. "We need to be proactive," he stated firmly to the group. "It's not just about protecting a powerful artifact anymore. It's about guarding the very timeline of our world." During the meeting, Elia proposed enhancing their surveillance and magical defenses around the fortress, especially around the vault where the Chrono Shard was secured. "I suggest we implement a series of layered wards and time-locked spells. If anyone tries to breach the vault, we'll not only block them, but also trap them in a temporal loop until we can apprehend them," she explained, detailing the sophisticated security measures. Meanwhile, Mira, specializing in tactical defenses, suggested setting up decoys. "We could create replicas of the Chrono Shard, each embedded with a tracking spell. If someone manages to steal a decoy, it would lead us straight to them, she added, outlining a strategy to turn the tables on potential thieves. Noah approved the measures, and the team set to work implementing them. In the days that followed, the fortress became a stronghold of magical and temporal defenses, making it one of the most secure places in all of Aeonis.
But the challenge of identifying and understanding his challenger still loomed large.
Noah decided to delve deeper into his own past and the history of the Chrono Shard, hoping to find connections or clues to the challenger's identity. He spent long hours in the library, poring over historical records, magical tomes, and anything that could tell him more about the origins of the shard and its previous wielders.
During one late-night research session, Noah came across an ancient prophecy that spoke of a guardian of time, destined to prevent the fracturing of temporal realities.
Could this be related to the shard?
Could I or my challenger be this guardian?
Noah wondered aloud, the weight of the possibility settling heavily on his shoulders. Realizing the need for more knowledge, Noah planned an expedition to the ruins of the original temple, where the Chrono Shard was first discovered, hoping to find more clues. It's time to confront our past, he resolved, setting the course for what he knew would be one of the most crucial journeys of his life.
Noah's expedition to the ruins of the original temple, where the Chrono Shard was first discovered, was not only a journey across the land, but also a journey through time.
The temple, located in the remote mountainous regions of Aeonis, was said to be a place where the veils between past, present, and future were thin, making it a site of powerful temporal energies.
As Noah and his team approached the ancient weathered stones of the temple, the air seemed to hum with unseen forces.
The site was overgrown, the ruins cloaked in moss and shadow, but the sense of power was palpable. "Be on your guard," Noah warned his companions, his eyes scanning the ruins. "This place holds more than just relics. We may encounter remnants of its past protectors or visions that test our resolve." The team set up a temporary base camp at the edge of the temple site. As dusk fell, Noah approached the central altar, circular stone platform engraved with intricate symbols that pulsed faintly with a silvery light. He placed the Chrono Shard in the center of the altar, hoping to activate whatever ancient mechanisms were designed to interact with it. Almost immediately, the air around them shimmered, and the team was enveloped in a bright, blinding light. When the light dimmed, Noah found himself standing in the same spot, but the temple was no longer a ruin. It was intact, majestic, with tall columns and a ceiling painted with stars and constellations.
"This is incredible," Noah whispered, his voice echoing slightly in the large open space. "We're seeing the temple as it was, or perhaps as it could be again." As they explored the temple, Noah and his team encountered a series of visions, ethereal, ghost-like images of people and events that had shaped Aeonis' history.
One vision showed a group of ancient mages placing the original Chrono Shard in the temple's altar, their faces set with determination as they performed a ritual to seal away a great darkness. Another vision flickered to life, showing a fierce battle outside the temple walls, where warriors clad in the armor of Noah's allies fought desperately against shadowy figures that seemed to slip in and out of reality. "These must be the echoes of what the Shard has witnessed over the centuries," Calum noted, fascinated by the display. "Each vision is a piece of history preserved by the Shard's power." Noah watched intently, absorbing every detail, every word spoken in the visions. He saw leaders making pacts, betrayals that led to wars, and peace treaties that ended them. Each vision offered insights not only into the past but also into the lessons that could help guide their future actions.
Among the visions, Noah suddenly saw a familiar figure, the mysterious challenger from his duel.
The figure was speaking earnestly with an ancient mage, discussing the Chrono Shard and its potential to change the course of history. "We must guard this power, lest it fall into hands that would use it to alter the very fabric of time for their own ends," the mage warned in the vision. This revelation hit Noah with the force of a revelation. His challenger knew of the Shard's power because they had been trying to protect it, just as he was now. As the vision faded, Noah felt a deep connection to his own role in this ongoing story of the Chrono Shard. He realized that his journey with the Shard was not just about protecting Aeonis from external threats, but also about safeguarding the timeline from manipulation. With a new sense of purpose, Noah turned to his team. We have much to learn from these visions. Let's document everything we can.
This knowledge could be crucial in understanding our next steps in guarding the Shard and using its power responsibly.
Back at the fortress after their temporal journey at the ancient temple, Noah and his team set about analyzing the visions they had witnessed.
Each vision not only offered a glimpse into Aeonis' tumultuous history, but also hinted at possible futures, some bright with hope, and others shadowed with despair.
Noah was particularly focused on understanding these divergent paths, determined to steer the present towards the most favorable outcomes. We need to understand the conditions that lead to each potential future, Noah stated during a strategy meeting.
If we can identify key decisions or events that tip the balance, perhaps we can influence which future comes to pass.
The team agreed, and they began a meticulous process of cataloging each vision, correlating historical events with current affairs. Elia took the lead in cross-referencing the visions with the fortress's extensive archives, searching for patterns or recurring themes that might indicate what triggered the darker futures. Meanwhile, Calum focused on the technical aspects of the Chrono Shard's influence.
I believe the Shard doesn't just record history, it interacts with it, he hypothesized.
Each use of the Shard might ripple through time, subtly altering events.
We need to be extremely cautious about how and when we use it.
As the research progressed, Noah organized a series of discussions with the leaders of the various communities within Aeonis. He shared insights from the visions, highlighting both the achievements and the pitfalls of their ancestors. These discussions were eye-opening for many, providing a new perspective on the legacy they all shared and their responsibility to the future. One particularly powerful vision that Noah shared was of a peaceful era that followed a great reconciliation between warring factions. This vision sparked a renewed effort among the leaders to resolve ongoing disputes and strengthen their alliances.
We see here what could be, Noah told the assembly. A future where our children inherit a realm not scarred by endless conflict, but enriched by diversity and cooperation. Let's work together to make this vision a reality.
Motivated by Noah's presentation, the leaders agreed to a series of treaties and joint initiatives aimed at addressing the root causes of conflict within Aeonis. Education, resource sharing, and joint defense, where they decided to focus their efforts. Back at the fortress, as Noah reviewed the day's accomplishments, a new vision from the Chrono Shard interrupted his thoughts. This vision was different. It was not a past event, but a potential future, one where Aeonis faced a new, unknown threat that seemed to emerge from within their own ranks. This vision showed a gathering much like the one Noah had just hosted, but in it, a figure cloaked in darkness unleashed a magical terror that spread rapidly across the realm. The vision ended with a plea for vigilance and unity to prevent such a disaster. Noah immediately called another meeting, this time to discuss preventive measures.
We've seen what could happen if we allow darkness to grow among us, he warned.
We must be vigilant, not just against external threats, but also against the seeds of greed and power that could corrupt us from within. The leaders took Noah's warning seriously, and together they established the Sentinel Council, a body dedicated to monitoring and responding to any signs of internal corruption or misuse of power. Noah was appointed as an advisor to the council, given his unique insights and experiences. As the meeting concluded, Noah felt a mix of relief and burden. The path ahead was clearer, but the responsibility to guide Aeonis safely through the weave of possible futures weighed heavily on him.
He knew that every decision made from now on could tip the scales for better or for worse.
After establishing the Sentinel Council and sharing the lessons learned from the visions of the past and potential futures, Noah dedicated himself to a deeper exploration of the Chrono Shard's capabilities. His goal was not only to prevent the dark futures he had seen, but also to harness the Shard's power to ensure Aeonis' prosperity. With the stakes clearly defined, Noah embarked on a series of controlled experiments with the Shard, each meticulously planned to avoid unintended consequences. Within the secured confines of the fortress's research lab, Noah, assisted by Calum and Elia, set up a new series of tests on the Chrono Shard. These experiments were designed to isolate specific conditions under which the shard influenced temporal events.
We need to understand precisely how the shard interacts with the flow of time, Noah explained as they calibrated their equipment.
Only then can we use it to safeguard our future without risking accidental alterations to the timeline.
During one such experiment, Noah attempted to use the shard to view not just passive visions, but to interact with them, effectively communicating with the past.
The setup was complex, involving an intricate array of magical runes and temporal conduits. As Noah initiated the experiment, the air around the shard shimmered and a vision slowly materialized. It was a scene from a council meeting decades past, where leaders debated the construction of a now crucial dam. Noah focused, reaching out with his mind, guided by the shard's power, to transmit a simple message to the past: consider the Northern Valley. The vision flickered, and for a moment it seemed as though the past leaders paused, as if hearing Noah's suggestion. The experiment ended abruptly as the temporal energy surged beyond control, forcing Caleb to shut it down. Breathing heavily, Noah stepped back, stunned by the direct interaction.
"It's possible," he said, his voice a mix of awe and fear. "We can reach back, but controlling that interaction without causing ripples. It's going to be much harder than I thought."
Elia noted the implications with concern. "Noah, this is dangerous territory."
"If we're not careful, we could change things we don't intend to."
"The ethical implications are enormous."
Noah nodded soberly.
"I know. That's why these experiments are just the first step."
"We need protocols, safeguards that ensure we don't alter anything unintentionally."
Motivated by the potential and the dangers of the Chrono Shard, Noah proposed the creation of a new ethical framework for using the shard, involving not just mages and historians, but philosophers and ethicists from across Aeonis.
He organized a series of symposiums, inviting experts to debate and discuss the responsible use of the shard.
These discussions were intense and fruitful, leading to the development of the Temporal Accord, a set of guidelines and ethical standards for any use of the Chrono Shard. The accord was ratified by all major leaders of Aeonis, establishing a legal and moral framework for handling the artifact.
With the temporal accord in place, Noah felt more confident in continuing his work with the shard.
The next steps involved refining the interaction techniques, ensuring they were safe and effective.
This required not only technical skill, but also a deep understanding of historical context to avoid unintended changes.
As Noah continued his research, he kept a close eye on the broader political and social developments in Aeonis. He knew that the stability and unity of his realm were crucial not just for the present, but for all possible futures. With each experiment, each decision, he was not just navigating the complexities of time, but also those of leadership and responsibility. As Noah delved deeper into the mysteries of the Chrono Shard, a new threat loomed on the horizon of Aeonis, one that threatened to engulf the realm in darkness. The dark entities of the game, long thought to be mere myths or shadows of the past, began to stir, influenced by unknown forces that seemed intent on sowing chaos and destruction. The first signs of trouble came from the borderlands, where patrols reported increased sightings of shadow creatures and malevolent spirits. These reports, combined with the disturbing visions Noah had seen related to the Chrono Shard, made it clear that a significant conflict was brewing that would require all the allies and resources Noah could muster.
Noah convened a war council with the leaders of all the allied groups within Aeonis.
The meeting took place in the Grand Hall of the fortress, a room now filled not just with the usual maps and plans, but with a palpable sense of urgency.
As many of you have reported, the dark forces that we once believed were mere legends have begun to manifest across our lands. Noah began, his voice steady but grave.
These entities are not just attacking at random. There is a pattern, a purpose to their madness. They are being driven, possibly controlled by something or someone with a deep understanding of the dark magic that binds them. The room was tense as leaders whispered among themselves. The threat was unlike anything they had faced, rooted in the very fabric of Aeonis' darkest myths.
"We must unite not just as armies, but as a people," Noah continued.
"This isn't just a battle of strength, but of spirit. We need to prepare our defenses, yes, but we also need to fortify the will and heart of every man, woman, and child in our lands." Mira, always practical, took the floor next. We've already started reinforcing our patrols and defensive structures.
But against such dark forces, conventional weapons might not be enough. We need to look into magical defenses, words enchantments, anything that can give us an edge.
Elia, who had been working closely with the mages and scholars, chimed in. I propose a network of leyline towers. These could channel the natural magic of Aeonis to create barriers against dark entities.
It's an ambitious project, but with the help of every magical practitioner here, it's possible.
The discussion then turned to logistics and strategy, with each leader contributing their people's strengths and capabilities. The Highland clans offered their elite warriors, known for their indomitable spirit. The river folk pledged to their network of spies and messengers to ensure communication remained swift and secure. The desert nomads, expert in guerrilla and guerrilla tactics, prepared to harass and disrupt any encroaching dark forces. As the council progressed, Noah appointed a smaller tactical team to handle the immediate threats, while a larger strategy for the leyline towers was developed. This team was tasked with not just defending, but also gathering more information about the dark entities, understanding their strengths, weaknesses, and possible motivations. By the end of the meeting, a comprehensive plan was in place.
Noah's leadership had rallied a diverse group of allies into a focused force ready to confront the gathering storm.
The mood was somber as the leaders dispersed, each returning to their respective territories to prepare for the coming conflict. In the quiet that followed the council's adjournment, Noah stood alone in the grand hall, looking over the maps and plans spread out before him. The weight of command was heavy, but his resolve was unshaken.
He knew the road ahead would be fraught with peril, but he also knew that Aeonis would not face this darkness alone.